Time October 15th, 2100. Location far side of the Moon's 7th crater mining zone, codename The Graveyard. An electronic synthesized voice blared in his ears, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. Number TX 9527 Lin Yuan. Your remaining oxygen, level 7. Warning, life support system is failing. Lin Yuan struggled to open his eyes. Through the cracked visor of his spacesuit, he saw a lifeless gray-white expanse. Above was the abyssal black cosmos, so deep it brought despair. Beneath were lunar dusts unchanged for billions of years. There was no beautiful blue silhouette of Earth, because this was the far side of the Moon, the land of exile, forever facing away from Earth. Cough, cough. His lungs ached as if scraped by sandpaper. Lin Yuan struggled to sit up and glanced at the life monitor on his wrist. A red light flickered frantically like a countdown to death. Zhao Qingtian, you are ruthless. Lin Yuan gritted his teeth, his voice hoarse. 3 days ago, he was the top graduate of the Federation's first military engineering academy. He had exposed a fatal flaw in the Federation's newest Starship power reactor in his graduation design, offending Zhao Heavy Industries, which monopolized the energy sector. As a result of forged evidence of espionage, a one-way ticket, he was stripped of everything and thrown into the 7th waste mining zone with a mortality rate of 80. Only abandoned mining robot wrecks and extremely unstable helium-3 deposits. Buzz. A static crackle came from the earphones. The mine supervisor's public broadcast. Attention, all consumables, today's quota 500 kilograms of high-purity lunar rock. Those who fail will have their oxygen and nutrient supply terminated. Lin Yuan looked beside him. There was only an old R2 model laser pickaxe with a half-broken drill bit, and even the battery had leaked. Forget 500 kilograms, this piece of junk couldn't even crack a piece of tofu. This was a dead end. Am I going to die here? Lin Yuan grasped the abandoned laser pickaxe, his knuckles turning white. Unwilling. The humiliation of being crushed by power burned in his chest. The moment his fingers touched the exposed circuit board of the laser pickaxe, a strange electric current suddenly shot through his entire body. It wasn't the pain of electric shock, but a tingling numbness of data flow. Detected high intelligence, carbon-based life form, spiritual wavelength matching. Galactic craftsman auxiliary terminal activating. System binding successful. A pale blue translucent screen abruptly materialized on his retina. Host Lin Yuan. Current status near death, hypoxia, hypothermia. Credits 0. Newbie gift pack issued open. Lin Yuan was stunned, his heart pounding violently. As a 22nd century new human, he knew exactly what this was, a holographic auxiliary system. But this was definitely not the mass-produced junk of the Federation. Open, he commanded silently. Congratulations, host, obtained primary matter analysis, ILV. 1 basic maintenance proficiency, energy points, X100. The next second the world changed before his eyes. He looked at the discarded laser pickaxe in his hand. The once lifeless metal scrap now displayed dense data labels. Item R2 laser handpick scrapped. Damage 88, focusing lens shattered, energy core leaking. Repair plan consumed 15 energy points, can be reconstructed as high-frequency oscillation particle pickaxe. Reconstruct. Lin Yuan did not hesitate. A mass of deep blue light surged from his palm and instantly enveloped the scrapped pickaxe. At the microscopic level, metal atoms seemed to obey the command and began to rearrange. The broken lens reassembled, the leaking battery was compressed and repaired. In just 3 seconds, a sleek silver new tool with cold gleam appeared in his hand. High-frequency oscillation particle pickaxe. Rating E, far exceeding federal civilian standards. Features cuts through iron like mud with microsonic crushing effect. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, though very little oxygen, and swung his arm, smashing it down onto a basalt rock as hard as iron beside him. There was no loud impact, only a faint buzz. The rock that required heavy machinery was sliced cleanly like butter. Ding. Ordinary lunar rock, collected, obtained mineral essence, energy points 0. 5. Lin Yuan looked at the smooth-cut rock, the despair in his eyes fading, replaced by a wild heat. Zhao Qingtian and the high and mighty bigwigs of the Federation. He stood up and looked into the pitch-dark wasteland. You treat this place as a graveyard, but I will make it my foundation. Oxygen warning, remaining 5. Lin Yuan calmly looked at a paralyzed tract or truck not far away, blue light flickering in his eyes. That wasn't scrap metal, it was his oxygen generator, his war chariot. Alarm, oxygen concentration below 3. Will induce coma in 180 seconds. The cold mechanical voice echoed in Lin Yuan's ears like a death warrant. A suffocating sensation surged like a tidal wave. Due to oxygen deprivation, dark spots appeared in Lin Yuan's vision, and his fingertips lost sensation from the extreme cold of the lunar surface. Damn it, I have to take a gamble. Lin Yuan stared intently at the tract or hauler half buried in lunar dust. The vehicle was a 20-year-old model, its shell rusted, and spotted the cockpit glass cracked like a spider web. In anyone's eyes, it was a worthless pile of industrial junk. But he had no choice. He stumbled over pride, opened the deformed door with effort, and threw himself into the cockpit. The cabin was filled with a stale smell of oil and rot. On the driver's seat was only a dried skeleton, the previous unlucky miner. Ignoring fear, Lin Yuan pushed the skeleton aside, and his fingers flew over the control panel. Z. The dashboard flickered twice and went dark. System scanning. Target T70 or hauler scrapped core faults, oxygen circulation pump capacitor, burned energy, pipeline fractured, filter mesh, clogged 99. Lin Yuan gasped heavily, his chest heaving violently, the instinctive struggle before death. As long as I fix the circulation pump, I can survive. His gaze frantically searched the narrow cabin. No spare parts. It was completely empty. Suddenly his eyes fell on the metal armrest beside the driver's seat. It was a solid aluminum alloy tube. Detected reconfigurable material, low purity, aluminum alloy. Plan consumed 20 energy points to reconfigure into high voltage pulse capacitor bank. Reconfigure. Hurry. Lin Yuan roared in his mind. He grabbed the armrest. In his palm, a deep blue light burst forth again. The originally hard and cold metal armrest disintegrated at a microscopic level visible to the naked eye. The metal atoms, as if hearing a divine command, frantically rearranged, compressed, and reshaped. In just 3 seconds, the armrest disappeared, replaced in Lin Yuan's hand by a cylindrical component with a silver-gray luster. With his last shred of strength, he pried open the panel beneath the control console, yanked out the burnt black part, and forcefully stuffed the brand-new high-voltage pulse capacitor bank into place. Let it start. Lin Yuan slammed the red start button. Viru. A dull but powerful motor. Immediately a stream of air with a faint ozone smell burst from the vent. That was oxygen. Lin Yuan greedily took a deep breath. The high-purity oxygen instantly flooded his lungs, pulling him back from the brink of death. His previously blurry vision became clear again, and his violently beating heart gradually calmed. Post-vital signs returned to stable. First engineering repair completed, maintenance proficiency 10. I survived. Lin Yuan slumped in the worn-out seat, his body drenched in cold sweat. After a short rest, he began scavenging the vehicle. In the passenger seat storage compartment, he found 3 discarded energy batteries. Although they could no longer power the vehicle in the system's eyes, they were the best supplements. Detected residual energy. Absorb. Lin Yuan gripped the battery, feeling a warm current flow into his body through his arm. The battery in his hand quickly turned to ash. Energy points 150. Current energy points 235,500. With energy, Lin Yuan's confidence instantly surged. He was about to check if the vehicle could move, when suddenly a dull thud came from outside the window. It sounded like metal tapping on glass. Lin Yuan whirled around. Through the dust-covered window, 2 ferocious and dirty faces were pressed against the glass, greedily peering inside. They were 2 miners wearing worn-out exoskeletons, holding rusty steel pipes in their hands. Hey Skinny, look at that. I wondered why this rover suddenly lit up. Turns out there's a tender young brat hiding inside. The speaker was a thuggish bald man with a pockmarked face known as Wong Pockmark. He was the notorious bully of the 7th mining zone, specializing in tormenting the newly arrived expendables. Beside him, Skinny licked his cracked lips and rapped on the rover's window, shouting, "Hey, you in there? Get the hell out. This rover is now commandeered by the Black Serpent Gang." Inside the vehicle, Lin Yuan's gaze instantly turned icy. On the far side of the moon, law was a distant joke. What reigned here was the most primal law of the jungle, the survival of the fittest. If he showed weakness now, these 2 wouldn't just steal the rover, they'd strip his spacesuit and leave him outside to freeze into an ice sculpture. Lin Yuan said nothing. He silently drew the high-frequency oscillation particle pickaxe reforged by the system from his waist. Then he pressed the door release button. PSSSH. The pressure valve released, and the door slid open slowly. Seeing this, Wong Pockmark cackled triumphantly. Smart move. Hand over all your supplies, and maybe your grandpa here will be in a good mood to spare you. Before he could finish, Lin Yuan stepped out. He wore a thin novice spacesuit, his frame gaunt, looking every bit the frail student. But his eyes were as calm as a stagnant pool. I fixed this rover, Lin Yuan stated flatly. Fixed it. Wong Pockmark's eyes glinted with greed. Even better. You know mechanics? From now on you're our slave, fixing all our gear. With that he signaled Skinny with a glance. Skinny grinned viciously, swinging a solid threaded steel pipe down at Lin Yuan's shoulder. If that blow landed, his bones would shatter completely. Die newbie. Lin Yuan didn't dodge. Under the system's dynamic vision assist, Skinny's movements were as slow as a slideshow. He raised his hand slowly, the tip of the particle pickaxe flaring with a blinding white light. Oscillation mode activate. There was no earth-shattering boom. When the pickaxe's tip met the whistling steel pipe, it was like a hot knife cutting through butter. Whip. A soft sound. Skinny felt his hand go light. Stunned, he stared at the remaining half of the pipe in his grip. The cut was smooth as a mirror, still radiating a fiery orange heat. The other half had fallen to the ground, deeply embedded in the lunar rock. The air froze. Wang Pockmark's smile stiffened, his eyes nearly bulging out. That was a high-strength alloy steel pipe, unbreakable against rock, and it had been severed with a pickaxe. Like Lin Yuan twisted his wrist, and the particle pickaxe hummed, with a low-frequency vibration pressing directly against Skinny's neck. Despite the neck armor of the spacesuit, Skinny could still feel the terrifying vibration frequency, as if his head would be cleaved off like the pipe in the next second. Still want to commandeer it? Lin Yuan's voice was soft, but carried a biting chill. And no. Skinny's legs trembled in terror, a warm trickle running down his pant leg. Wetting oneself in space was a serious problem. Wang Pockmark panicked too, stumbling backward. Brother. No, boss. A misunderstanding. All a misunderstanding. We're getting out of here. Scram. At Lin Yuan's single word, the two fled, as if pardoned, scrambling away, without even picking up their dropped backpacks. Lin Yuan didn't pursue. His current physical condition was too poor for prolonged combat. Intimidating them was enough. He walked over and picked up the backpacks they had abandoned. Inside were 2 near-expired low-grade nutrient fluids and a crumpled electronic map. A decent. Lin Yuan tore open a nutrient fluid and downed it in one gulp. The sour, astringent taste spread across his tongue, but to him it was incredibly delicious. Because it was spoils of war. He opened the electronic map and a system prompt suddenly rang out. Special geographic information scanned. Map coordinates X992Y301 marked as death zone. Analysis indicates a giant lava tube beneath this area accompanied by weak geothermal activity. Recommendation: excellent base location. Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. It is foolish to build a base on the lunar surface. The deadly cosmic radiation, frequent micrometeorite impacts, and extreme temperature fluctuations of plus or minus 150 degrees Celsius would make the maintenance costs of any surface structure astronomically high. True experts live underground. Lin Yuan returned to his vehicle and once again used the system to repair the truck's tracks. Though the power system remained at only 30 of its original capacity, this old workhorse could finally move again. Target: death forbidden zone. The truck rumbled loudly, kicking up gray-white lunar dust as it headed toward the red skull mark on the map. Along the way, Lin Yuan saw countless wrecks. Excavators crushed by boulders and miners' bodies curled up from oxygen depletion. This was the 7th mining zone where human life was cheaper than stone. But he did not stop. 2 hours later, he arrived at the edge of a massive rift. This was the so-called death forbidden zone. Due to unstable geological structures and frequent collapses, no one dared come here. However, through Lin Yuan's analytical eye, the rock formations were clearly visible. 30 meters ahead to the right, the rock wall is thin, connected behind to a natural lava tube. Safety factor high. This is the place. Lin Yuan drove the truck carefully down the gentle slope of the rift. The surrounding light grew dimmer until finally only the headlights illuminated the path. As the depth increased, the thermometer inside the cabin began to rise. Minus 100 degrees. Minus 50 degrees. Minus 10 degrees. When the depth reached 500 meters underground, the temperature stabilized at an astonishing 15 degrees Celsius. It was a massive natural cavern large enough to accommodate even a frigate with room to spare. Strange crystalline lights glimmered on the cave walls. A perfect sanctuary, Lin Yuan marveled. Suddenly, the headlight beams swept over a colossal object deep within the cavern. It was a disc-shaped metal object half buried in the soil, its surface covered in thick dust resembling a Lin Yuan's heart skipped a beat. High-value target detected. Item: first-generation change class lunar exploration base, core module, crashed in 2050. Status: severely damaged, irreparable. Materials contained aerospace-grade titanium alloy, high-purity silicon crystal panels, fusion battery remnants, trace amounts. Hint: can serve as a raw material repository for universal reconstruction. This wasn't junk, it was a gold mine. Lin Yuan parked the truck and jumped out excitedly. With this, he wouldn't need to mine rocks for materials. If dismantling it would make him rich instantly. He walked up to the massive core module and pressed his palm against its cold metal shell. System: disassemble it. Analyzing. Target volume too large. Estimated time 10 minutes. As the system operated, the enormous metal module began to disassemble like building blocks. Pieces of high-strength titanium alloy plates detached automatically, stacking at Lin Yuan's feet. Obtain titanium alloy plates X 500 units. Obtain precision electronic components X 120 sets. Obtained rare earth magnets X 50. Gazing at the premium materials scattered all around, a crucial icon finally lit up in the gray crafting list in Lin Yuan's mind. Basic engineering: robotic arm crafting requirements, titanium alloy X 50, electronic components X 20A, energy points X 100. Function: fully automatic construction, excavation, and transport. It is the hands with which you build your empire. Manufacture. Manufacture immediately. Lin Yuan hesitated no more. In this desolate underworld, his strength alone was far too insignificant. He needed help, even if it came from machines. As 200 energy points, including manufacturing cost, were deducted, in an instant the pile of materials on the ground levitated into the air. This reconstruction was far more turbulent than any before. Countless streams of blue data wove intricate circuit diagrams in the air, while the titanium alloy plates were twisted and welded by an invisible force. 5 minutes later, a silver-white mechanical arm, over 2 meters tall, with 3 flexible joints, crashed heavily to the ground, emitting a dull thud. Its base came with gripping claws that firmly anchored into the rocky floor. Primary engineering mechanical arm, codename Worker B-No. 1, has been activated. Awaiting command. Lin Yuan gazed at this massive creation brimming with industrial elegance, and finally a smile crept across his lips. Worker B-No. 1, I command with me as the center, level the ground within a 500-meter radius and construct an enclosed living pod. Use the leftover scrap as materials. Buzz, command confirmed. The camera atop the mechanical arm swiveled, then immediately set to work. Its powerful hydraulic clamp effortlessly lifted rocks weighing hundreds of pounds, stacking them like building blocks to form walls in the corner. Its movements were precise and tireless. Lin Yuan sat on the hood of the ore truck, sipping the last of his nutrient solution, watching the fully automated mechanical arm at work. A newfound sense of security welled up within him. This was the power of the system. Given time, he could forge an entire mechanical army here. Meanwhile, on the surface of the 7th mining district, inside a stronghold cobbled together from discarded shipping containers, the leader of the Black Serpent gang, Black Serpent himself, lounged on a sofa draped in animal hide, idly twirling 2 walnut-sized metal balls in his hands. Before him knelt Wang Matzi and Shouho, weeping and wailing with snot and tears. Boss, it really was. That newcomer is too uncanny. Yeah, boss. His pickaxe, it glowed. It could even cut through solid steel pipes. That's military tech. Military tech. Black Serpent narrowed his elongated eyes, a dangerous glint flickering in his triangular pupils. In this desolate mining wasteland, a good weapon meant an extra life, even dominion. If it was genuine military gear, its worth might exceed a whole year's yield of mining. Are you certain you saw right? Black Serpent's voice was hoarse. Absolutely. If a single word is false, throw us into the crusher. Wang Matzi swore vehemently. Black Serpent rose, walked to the window, and stared into the pitch-black wasteland. How intriguing. An exiled waste can actually possess something so precious. Accompanying these words was a low, raspy voice. The speaker slowly turned around, revealing a massive, hideous Black Serpent tattoo sprawling across his back. Gather all our brothers immediately. A fat sheep has delivered itself to our doorstep. Why not slaughter and feast? Go scout the direction that little bastard fled toward. As you command, boss. The underlings acknowledged the order and swiftly departed, their movements brisk and meanwhile Black Serpent licked his lips, his narrow eyes gleaming with unabashed greed. Yet at this very moment he remained oblivious to the horrifying nightmare awaiting him and his gang. For the one they were about to provoke was no meek lamb, but a ferocious beast slowly awakening from slumber, exuding an aura of terror. Clang. As the last titanium alloy plate was seamlessly welded to the rock face by the robotic arm, a simple yet sturdy capsule-style living pod finally took shape. Lin Yuan stood on the freshly leveled ground, gazing at the silver-white metal box before him, an indescribable sense of accomplishment surging within his heart. This was not merely a living pod. It was his only home on this desolate, lifeless, and perilous far side of the moon. Worker B Unit 1, suspend operations and enter standby charging mode. Lin Yuan issued the command. The towering engineering arm slowly lowered its massive hydraulic claw, its indicator light shifting from operational red to standby green, standing silently beside the pod like a loyal guardian. Lin Yuan approached the pod's hatch and pressed his palm against the recognition panel. Identity confirmed. Welcome home, Commander. Though merely a simulated electronic voice, the word home brought a slight sting to Lin Yuan's nose. The airtight door slid open slowly, and Lin Yuan stepped inside. The interior was modest, about 20 square meters, with no lavish decor, only the cold metallic tones of raw materials. Yet within the wall cavities, Lin Yuan had the arm fill in insulation materials salvaged from the wreckage of a probe. He sealed the door and activated the environmental control system stripped from an or transport vehicle. Buzz. Warm air began to circulate. The numbers on the holographic screen started to climb: 10C, 0C, 15C, 22C. When the temperature settled at 22 degrees, Lin Yuan let out a long, relieved breath. With trembling hands, he unfastened the clasps of his heavy spacesuit. With a hiss of depressurization, he shed the protective suit, which felt like a shackle, leaving only a thin inner layer. He collapsed onto the makeshift metal bed, utterly spent. Alive again. Lin Yuan savored the sensation of air brushing against his skin. On the lunar surface, exposing skin to the atmosphere was suicide, but here, it was the ultimate luxury. Ding. Congratulations, host, on completing the construction of the primary shelter. Reward basic supplies crate X1 contains 5L purified water 5X compressed beef cans. System evaluation. In this godforsaken place you finally have a den where you can sleep naked. With a flash of blue light, a white supply crate materialized on the floor. Lin Yuan's eyes widened. Water. Meat. Over the past 3 days in the mining zone, he had drunk recycled filtered urine. Though treated, it was psychologically repulsive, and eaten nutrient paste that resembled toothpaste. He practically lunged at the crate, tearing open the packaging. Twisting off the cap, he tilted his head back and gulped greedily. The cool, sweet, purified water flowed down his throat, moisturizing every parched cell. Next came the beef can. Though cold, the authentic texture of meat fibers nearly made him swallow his tongue. With the system, even in hell I can live like a king. Lin Yuan chewed the beef as he opened the system panel. The immediate crisis was resolved, but the road ahead was still long. He looked at the tech tree panel. It was currently at LV1, the mechanical workshop stage. To upgrade, he needed more energy points and rare materials. Though the 7th mining zone was barren, the underground lava tube beneath it. System perform a deep scan of this underground conduit. Conducting geological sonar detection. Generating 3D terrain map. A complex holographic map unfolded before Lin Yuan. The lava tube extended dozens of kilometers underground, and deep within the map, faint unnatural blue points of light flickered. Warning: high-energy reaction detected at depth. Estimated to be symbiotic high-energy crystals or unknown biological nest. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes. Unknown creatures. Legends of moon beasts had long circulated on the far side, officially dismissed by the Federation as miners' hallucinations. But now it seemed the underground was far from peaceful. It appears a house isn't enough, it'll need guns, cannons, and Lin Yuan's gaze fell on a section of the crafting list: autonomous reconnaissance, mechanical spider light, sentry machine gun turret. The Black Serpent gang won't let this slide. When they come knocking, he'll prepare a grand surprise for them. Lin Yuan lay on the bed, his heavy eyelids closing. It was the most restful sleep he had had since his exile. In his dream, he stood on the bridge of a colossal starship with the burning Federation headquarters beneath his feet. This time Lin Yuan slept unusually soundly. There was no piercing oxygen alarm, no constant fear of freezing to death due to temperature control failure. Beep! The soft electronic wake-up tone chimed punctually. Commander, it is 0800 lunar. Cabin temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. Oxygen levels normal. Radiation index 0. Lin Yuan sat up from the simple metal bed and stretched mightily, his joints cracking crisply. This is what it means to live like a human. He stepped barefoot onto the cold yet smooth metal floor and walked to the wash basin in the cabin. Turning the tap, clear recycled water flowed out. Though this water circulation system was salvaged and modified from or truck, enhanced by the system's molecular level filtration, the water was purer than Evian on Earth. After washing his face, Lin Yuan looked at himself in the mirror. Though still somewhat gaunt with sunken eyes, his gaze no longer held the despair of 3 days ago, replaced instead by a wolf-like sharpness. Grumble. His stomach protested inopportunely. Lin Yuan smiled wryly and pulled open the storage cabinet beside him. It was empty. The can of beef rewarded by the system yesterday had already been devoured greedily. All that remained were 2 expired nutrient fluids, snatched from the 2 unfortunate miners. Food is the first necessity of the people, even on the moon. Lin Yuan picked up a nutrient fluid. The viscous green liquid was nauseating to behold. Relying solely on system rewards won't do. I must solve the food problem myself. He opened the system panel, his gaze searching through the primary tech tree. Soon an icon caught his eye. Organic matter conversion synthesizer description: as long as it's carbon-based organic matter, be it withered plants, expired food, or a hem biological waste. Through molecular recombination, it can be converted into high-calorie synthetic starch and protein blocks. Manufacturing requirements: refined steel X20O, filter membrane X5A, energy points X150. Evaluation: might taste like chewing wax, but it will keep you alive. That's the one. Lin Yuan snapped his fingers. Though the raw materials mentioned in the description were somewhat disgusting in the face of survival, squeamishness is the most useless thing. He had the materials here, leftover scraps from dismantling a detector earlier. Worker B, no. 1, get to work. The robotic arm that had been on standby outside the cabin activated instantly, its red electronic eye glowing. Lin Yuan transmitted the blueprint data, and the robotic arm immediately began busying itself among a pile of scrap. The sizzling sound of welding echoed once more through this underground cavern. Half an hour later, a silver machine, half a person tall and resembling a washing machine, was moved into the living cabin. Now I have the machine, but I lack the raw materials. Lin Yuan looked at the machine, a strange expression on his face. The 7th mining zone was an abandoned mine. Where could there be organic matter? Nothing grew here, nothing but rocks. No, there was one place. A marker on the map flashed through Lin Yuan's mind: the early living waste treatment station of the 7th mining zone. In essence, it was the septic tank and garbage dump left behind by thousands of miners from years past. Though abandoned for a decade under vacuum conditions, those substances had frozen into hard blocks, and the organic matter had not been lost. For the sake of food, he'll risk it. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, donned the heavy spacesuit again, picked up the particle pickaxe, and walked out of the comfortable base. An hour later, Lin Yuan returned driving the truck. The truck bed was loaded with several large black hard ice chips. Those were the aged organic waste he had dug up from the abandoned treatment station. System activate purification and filtration mode. Churn it hard. Lin Yuan held his breath and tossed these black ice blocks into the feed port of the organic matter conversion synthesizer. The machine roared to life, emitting a fierce, centrifugal spinning sound. The progress bar on the screen advanced slowly. Impurity separation in progress. Toxin removal in progress. Carbon molecule recombination in progress. Lin Yuan stared fixedly at the discharge port, inwardly uncertain. Could this thing really be edible? Ding! With a crisp notification sound, the machine stopped. The tray at the discharge port slid out, neatly stacked with 12 milky white blocks. They emitted steam and a faint, toasted aroma. Lin Yuan leaned in to sniff. There's really no smells like burnt toast. He picked one up, what felt warm to the touch, somewhat like a compressed biscuit. He tentatively took a small bite. The texture was very hard, bland, with a slight sweetness from synthetic sugar and a sandy, grainy feel. Yet at that moment, Lin Yuan felt it was the most delicious food in the world. Because it was carbohydrates. Real tangible food, not that slimy chemical nutrient fluid. It's edible, and it's extremely high in calories. Lin Yuan finished one block in a few bites, feeling a warm sensation in his stomach and a surge of strength throughout his body. High-energy synthetic starch consumed. Constitution slightly increased. Survival points gained 10. Lin Yuan looked at the remaining 11 loaves, a sharp glint in his eyes. This was not just food, it was hard currency in this wasteland world. In the eyes of those bottom-tier miners, for such a pure, chewable piece of food, they would even be willing to sell their souls. With food and shelter sorted, the next step is to make money. Lin Yuan wiped the crumbs from his mouth, his gaze turning to the deep, dark depths of the lava tube outside the base. Since this was a former survey point, there must be good things left behind by previous probes. Energy points are down to 80. I need to replenish them quickly. Lin Yuan stood up. This time he didn't take the mining pick. As a commander with a system, personally, mining was beneath him and too inefficient. He looked at the next category in the manufacturing list. There, an icon brimming with violent aesthetics lit up. Autonomous mining mechanical spider, type 1. Mining in essence is nothing more than moving and breaking things, Lin Yuan said, his fingers flying across the holographic workstation. But I only have 2 hands. Even if I had the strength of a mythical beast, I'd barely scratch a few tons in a day. He turned his gaze to the blueprint the system had provided, the autonomous mining mechanical spider. This was a compact engineering robot no larger than a wash basin, equipped with 6 agile mechanical legs, a small or storage compartment in its abdomen, and a high-speed diamond drill mounted on its head. Manufacturing requirements: titanium alloy X5, iron powder X10, integrated circuit board X1, energy points X50 per unit. Incredibly cost-effective, Lin Yuan remarked. Though they have almost no combat capability in the narrow confines of a mine shaft, they're the perfect sappers. He took stock of his inventory. The titanium alloy salvage from dismantling the change core module was still more than half full, and there were plenty of electronic components left. The only thing he lacked was energy points. All in then. Gritting his teeth, Lin Yuan poured all his remaining energy points into the effort, even consuming the backup battery he had kept in reserve for emergencies. He scraped together 250 energy points. Worker B, no. Want to establish a production line. Target 5 mechanical spiders. With the command issued, the open space outside the habitation module transformed into a miniature arsenal. Mechanical arms whirred up and down, welding torches spitting blue flames. Sheets of metal were cut and folded. Intricate circuit boards were installed into the cores. 20 minutes later, 5 silver-gray mechanical spiders lay neatly arrayed on the ground. On their backs was etched the emblem Lin Yuan had just designed, an atomic symbol encircled by gears. Activate, Lin Yuan commanded. ZZZ. ZZZ. 5 pairs of cerulean electronic eyes flickered to life simultaneously. The mechanical spiders flexed their joints, producing a synchronized metallic rasp, then turned as one to face Lin Yuan, as if awaiting inspection. This sensation of absolute control was intoxicating. This was the power of technology. Without the system, creating such intelligent robots would have required a top-tier team of at least 100 people working for half a year. For him, it took just 20 minutes. Go, my children. Lin Yuan pointed to a dark red rock formation on the cavern wall. Target the hematite vein. Bring back every piece of high value, or click, click, click. The mechanical spiders sprang into action, moving like a disciplined swarm of ants as they rapidly scaled the rugged rock face. The drills on their heads spun at high speed, shattering the hard rock as if it were tofu. Lin Yuan didn't remain. He returned to the habitation module and activated the main control screen, which split into 5 small windows, each displaying the perspective of one spider. Unit 1 reports acquired high-quality hematite, iron content 65. Unit 2 reports discovered associated quartz crystals. Unit 3 reports drill bit, wear rate 0. 1. Condition optimal. Just 10 minutes later, the first spider crawled back. Its abdomen bulging, it scurried to the designated stockpile area, opened its belly, and disgorged a heap of dark red ore with a clatter. Then came the second, the third. Detected abundant mineral resources. Convert directly into energy points. Convert. A beam of light swept over the pile of ore. Energy points 15. Energy points 12. Energy points 18. Though the individual amounts were modest, this was a perpetual passive income stream. Lin Yuan watched the energy gauge begin to tick upward slowly but steadily and couldn't suppress the smile spreading across his lips. The Lin Yuan of before, who exhausted himself digging all day just to trade for 2 nutrient fluids, was dead. Now standing beneath the lunar surface was the embryo of Nyo Dai Mining Corporation, the future interstellar tycoon. This is just the beginning. Lin Yuan watched the tirelessly laboring spiders, calculating in his mind. Once I've saved up enough energy, I'll expand to 10, then 50, then 100 of them. I'll hollow out dozens of kilometers beneath this ground. Just then the surveillance feed from Unit 5 suddenly jolted violently. A red warning box flashed on the screen. Warning. Unit 5 has encountered an impenetrable obstacle. Hardness test ultra high. Material analysis unknown alloy. Lin Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Unknown alloy. This was an underground rock formation. How could there be alloy here? Unless it was an artificial construct. All units halt. Unit 5, clear away the debris. Let me see what that is. Lin Yuan immediately took control of Unit 5. In the feed, as the rubble fell away, a wall as black and smooth as a mirror was revealed. It wasn't coated in dust like the surrounding rock. Instead, under the searchlight's beam, it reflected a chilling cold gleam. And on the wall's surface, there seemed to be a line of extremely tiny, yet intricately structured pale gold runes. That was definitely not a product of Earth's civilization. Nor did it match any level of craftsmanship humanity had achieved. A chill shot up Lin Yuan's spine, but it was quickly overtaken by a more fervent excitement. The system had hinted at a high-energy reaction here before. It seemed it wasn't just trying to trick him into mining. Looks like I not only found a good home, but also scored an incredible basement. Just as Lin Yuan was about to direct the spider to explore further, the habitation module's main radar suddenly blared a piercing alarm. This time it wasn't for oxygen deprivation or radiation. Warning. Detected surface microvibration source approaching. Signal signature analysis tracked vehicles, X3. Distance 2. 5 kilometers. Database match modified wild dog off-road reconnaissance vehicles. Suspected affiliation Black Snake Gang. Lin Yuan's head snapped up, the fervor in his eyes instantly cooling into an icy killing intent. The joy of discovering the ruins was abruptly cut short, and it infuriated him. Black Snake Gang. I've gone 500 meters underground, and you still cling like a stubborn stain. Lin Yuan glanced at the still operating organic matter converter, and then at the fledgling spider miners. This was his home, his foundation. Anyone who dared touch it would die. Worker B no. 1 hull construction tasks. System open the weapon manufacturing list. Lin Yuan's voice echoed through the empty habitation module, carrying a metallic hardness. I plan to develop first, but since you're so eager to die, I'll make an example of you. His finger hovered over an icon. Light Sentry Machine Gun Turret Blueprint Description. Truth lies only. The alarm echoed within the narrow living pod, the red light, casting fluctuating shadows across Lin Yuan's face. 20 minutes until contact. Lin Yuan calmly glanced at the speed of the red dot moving on the radar. Time is short, but it's enough. He turned his head, gazing intently at the black metal wall that had been unearthed by Spider No. 5 in the surveillance footage. The golden inscriptions on it seemed to possess some sort of magic, enticing him to explore. His intuition told him that whatever lay behind the wall might be more valuable than the entire Black Snake Gang combined. But life is only one. Once a person dies, no matter how precious the treasure, it becomes someone else's wedding gown. All mechanical spiders cease collection operations immediately and return to base at full speed. Lin Yuan issued the command through the neural connection. Worker B no. 1 switch to defense construction mode. It's time to get to work. He quickly walked to the workbench, inserting the high-frequency oscillation particle pickaxe into his waist, and then swiftly pulled up the inventory list. Although he had just unlocked the blueprint for the lightweight patrol machine gun tower, the cost made him feel as though he had been doused with cold water. Lightweight patrol machine gun tower requirements: high-strength gun barrel steel X2, servo motor X2, fire control chip X1, energy points X300. Damn, not enough energy points. He had nearly gambled all his savings to create the spider. The energy he had now was simply insufficient to build such a large item. Since I can't afford high-tech, I'll play a little dirty. Lin Yuan's gaze fell upon a pile of unprocessed scrap materials in the corner. It was a box of detonating caps found in the toolbox of a mining vehicle, industrial explosives used by miners to blast through hard rock formations. They were powerful but extremely unstable. Systems scanned these detonators. Item: old-fashioned ammonium nitrate explosive, industrial-grade characteristics, acceptable power, outdated, triggering mechanism prone to misfire. Reconstruction plan consumes 20 energy points, can be reconstructed into pressure-sensitive smart anti-infantry mine or directional demolition broadsword mine. That's more like it. A cold smile crept across Lin Yuan's lips. I want 2 broadswords and 3 pressure-sensitive mines. The eerie blue light flickered once more. The rough yellow explosive sticks were rapidly decomposed under the system's power. The gunpowder was purified, the casing molded into a curved panel with hundreds of steel balls, and the detonator replaced with a sensitive infrared sensor. 5 minutes later, Lin Yuan emerged from the living pod holding several black discs radiating a dangerous aura. At that moment, the 5 mechanical spiders had all returned, neatly positioned at the doorway. No. 1 and no. 2. Dig pits on the path leading to the rift entrance. Make them deep and camouflage the top. No. 3 and no. 4. Bury these broadsword mines on the side walls of the pits set for crossfire angles. No. 5. Take these pressure-sensitive mines, bury them 30 meters from the base's main entrance as the final line of defense. Lin Yuan methodically arranged the killing setup. This was an underground lava conduit, narrow and elongated in terrain, easy to defend but hard to attack. As long as he held the entrance of that one-line sky, even 3 vehicles or an armored company would have to pay dearly. After setting the traps, Lin Yuan didn't remain idle. He used the last bit of titanium alloy scrap to have worker B1 weld several heavy shields outside the living pod, creating a temporary cover. After finishing all this, he retreated back to the living pod, sealed the airtight door, and sat down in front of the surveillance screen. He picked up a freshly made synthetic bread and took a bite. It was warm and fragrant. On the screen, 3 red dots were already approaching the rift entrance. Come on, this is the first gift I prepared for you. At the same time, in the corner of the surveillance footage, the temporarily set-aside black wall suddenly flickered. External energy fluctuations detected. Defense mechanism is self-checking. The system popped up an inconspicuous gray prompt, but Lin Yuan, fully focused on facing the enemy, did not notice. What the hell? Is that kid a rabbit? Running off to this godforsaken place? On the desolate northern wasteland of the 7th mining zone, 3 modified off-road vehicles jolted unevenly across the rugged lunar surface. A sinister black cobra emblem was spray-painted on the vehicles' bodies. The speaker was the driver of the lead car, a minor boss of the Black Cobra gang nicknamed Mad Dog. Though he grumbled, greed glinted in his eyes. Boss Black Cobra had decreed find the newcomer with military-grade tech, seize the gear, and a generous reward would follow. Rumor had it that kid's pickaxe could cleave metal and shatter jade. If sold on the black market, it would be worth at least 10,000 Federation credits. Boss, look ahead. The thug in the passenger seat suddenly pointed at the ravine ahead. The tire tracks lead into that big crack. Mad Dog glanced at the map and frowned. That's the death zone. Is this kid insane? Does he want to die crawling in there? Maybe he got lost and croaked. Well, just go in and collect the corpse. Let's go. Check it out. Mad Dog floored the accelerator. The off-road vehicle roared as it charged down the gentle slope into the ravine with the other 2 cars close behind. As they delved deeper underground, the surroundings began to change. The harsh sunlight vanished, replaced by beams from searchlights tearing through the darkness. What stunned Mad Dog most was the thermometer inside the car, which was jumping wildly. -50 degrees. -20. 10 degrees above zero. Mad Dog's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the dashboard. Am I seeing this right? The temperature here is actually comfortable. Boss, look ahead. A panicked voice came through the walkie-talkie from the rear car. Following the light, Mad Dog slammed on the brakes. At the end of the deep, wide cavern, a silver-white building of striking technological design stood imposingly. Though not large, its sleek metal lines, blinking signal lights, and the mechanical monsters standing by at the entrance waiting in standby mode were unmistakable. Is that a base? Mad Dog's voice cracked. In this abandoned mining zone, where even oxygen was rationed, someone had built a base of this caliber underground. This was no fat sheep. This was a treasure trove. We're rich. We're going to be rich. Greed overpowered Mad Dog's reason. He grabbed the walkie-talkie and barked, "Brothers, that kid's definitely inside. Those machines look like auto miners. Take him out, and all this is ours. Charge. Crush him." The 3 off-road vehicles, like rutting bulls, engines roaring, launched an assault on the base 2 kilometers away. In their eyes, he was just a lone student. Even with some luck, how could he possibly withstand the charge of 3 armed vehicles? Closer. 1,000 meters. 800 meters. 500 meters. Inside the base, Lin Yuan watched the screen coldly. His finger hovered over a red virtual button. This is the greed of human nature, Lin Yuan murmured to himself. Seeing something good, they don't even bother with basic reconnaissance, just pounce straight in. Distance to preset kill zone. 3, 2, 1. Farewell. Lin Yuan pressed the button. At that moment, Mad Dog's convoy had just passed a narrow rocky corner. As Mad Dog fantasized about living in this base as a local tyrant, he failed to notice a seemingly ordinary rock on the side wall suddenly split open. It revealed a dense cluster of steel pellets and a glowing red fuse. Boom! The deafening explosion echoed and amplified countless times within the sealed cavern. Flames shot into the air. The directional blast of the Claymore mine unleashed thousands of high-speed steel pellets, creating a storm of metal. The second off-road vehicle caught in the most direct blast was instantly riddled like a sieve. Tires burst, the fuel tank was punctured, and the whole car turned into a massive fireball tumbling into the rock wall. The screams were drowned out by the explosion. Mad Dog's lead car, having charged ahead, barely escaped the core blast zone, but was still hurled sideways by the shockwave, crashing heavily into a massive boulder. All the windows were shattered. Bleeding profusely from the head, Mad Dog crawled out of the wreck, his ears filled with a deafening ring. What the hell? Was that a landmine? He stared in terror at the burning wreckage behind him. A directional mine of this power was only standard issue for the regular military. How could that student have won? Before he could recover, a grating click-clack sound reached his ears. Illuminated by the flames, 5 silver-gray mechanical spiders crawled out from the shadows. They were no longer docile miners. The diamond-tipped drills once used for breaking rocks now spun at high speed, aimed at the survivors. Behind those spiders, the base's hatch slowly opened. A young man in thin casual wear stepped out, holding a cup of freshly filtered, purified water, watching their disheveled state, as if enjoying a show. Welcome to my territory. Lin Yuan's voice came through the speakers on the spider's calm, yet making Mad Dog feel colder than the vacuum outside. Though I didn't invite you. The smoke and dust from the explosion lingered stubbornly within the sealed cavern, the air thick with a pungent, acrid stench, a nauseating blend of burning rubber tires, inferior fuel, and incinerated human flesh. Lin Yuan stood 30 meters away in the safe zone, a cup of purified water in his hand, yet his knuckles were blanched white from the force of his grip. This was his first time taking a life. Though it was a trap and the victim was a ruthless thug, the violent pounding of his heart against his ribcage still took him several seconds to subdue. In this world, a soft heart is suicide, Lin Yuan repeated silently to himself, his gaze turning as cold and hard as iron. He set down the cup and waved a hand at the air beside him. Worker B number 1, activate the air filtration system and purge this foul odor. All mechanical spiders sweep the battlefield. Remember, I want a live one. The 5 mechanical spiders immediately moved their metallic legs, producing a grating clatter, and nimbly wove through the wreckage of the burning vehicles. Cough. Help. Beside the boulder that had crushed the lead vehicle, a man with a blood-smeared face was struggling to crawl out. His left leg was bent at a grotesque angle, clearly broken. He was the leader, Mad Dog. Now the greed in Mad Dog's eyes had vanished, replaced by sheer terror. He lifted his head, and through his blood-blurred vision, he saw the young man approaching with slow, deliberate step. The other man wore clean, neat, casual clothes and even a pair of white sneakers, an incongruous sight amidst the grimy, bloody ruins, like a deity from another world. Don't kill me. Mad Dog trembled as he begged for mercy, but his hand stealthily crept towards the deformed pistol at his waist. Swoosh. A flash of silver streaked by. A mechanical spider instantly leaped onto his back, its sharp diamond drill bit pressed against the back of his skull. The high-speed whirring sound froze him stiff, and he dared not even breathe. Lin Yuan walked up to him, looking down. I ask you, answer. One lie and the drill goes in. He'll talk. He'll tell you everything. Mad Dog was completely broken. How many of you came? 3 crews, 9 men in total. Besides me, they're all probably dead. How many men does the Black Serpent gang have? What's their firepower? 52 brothers. No, 52 thugs. They have 2 modified heavy armored mining vehicles mounted with 20mm autocannons bought from smugglers. The rest are just homemade guns and explosives. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes. A 20mm autocannon. That was a threat to his current base. Why is your boss Black Serpent so interested in this place? Don't tell me it's to capture a poor student like me. Mad Dog hesitated, and the drill behind him pressed down a fraction, piercing his skin. He'll talk. It's because of a stone. Mad Dog screamed in agony. The boss. Black Serpent robbed an underground antiquities dealer half a month ago and got a black crystal. That crystal is sinister. Being near it causes auditory hallucinations. Before he died, the dealer said it was the key to opening the lunar underground temple, and the temple's entrance is in the death zone of the 7th mining district. Lin Yuan's heart leaped. A black crystal. An underground temple. He instinctively looked towards the black wall inscribed with runes deep within the cavern. Could the crystal in Black Serpent's hands be the key to opening this wall? I see, Lin Yuan said, a cold smile curling his lips. So you saw me as the monster guarding the gate. Since I know what I need to. Lin Yuan turned and walked away. Don't kill me. I know how to fix cars. I can even cook. I'm a good worker. Mad Dog kowtowed frantically. Lin Yuan paused. Indeed, base construction required labor. Some dirty heavy work couldn't be done by robotic arms, and the mechanical spiders were too clumsy. System, do you have any means of controlling a person? Searching. Recommended solution, neural blocking collar, simplified version. Principal uses microcurrents to stimulate cervical nerves, enabling remote electric shock punishment or direct nerve blockade for lethal termination. Manufacturing requirements, electronic components X2, copper wire X5, energy points X10. Build 1. A few minutes later, Lin Yuan returned holding a cold metallic collar. Wear it or die. Mad Dog stared at the collar, knowing he would be a slave from then on. But he had no choice. With trembling hands, he put it on himself. Beep. A red light flashed. Lin Yuan tapped lightly on the terminal on his wrist, and Mad Dog instantly screamed, convulsing and collapsing to the ground. That was a test. Go salvage everything usable from those wrecks and haul it back to the base. Having dealt with the prisoner, Lin Yuan turned his attention to the greatest prize, the 3 burning off-road vehicles. Under the system's analysis, this scrap was all treasure. Large quantity of recyclable resources detected. Item: high energy lithium sulfur battery pack, damaged X3, estimated energy point extraction 450 points. Item: special steel vehicle armor X 2 tons. Item: vehicle communication station intact. Lin Yuan placed his hand on the hood of the still smoking lead car. Deconstruct. A blue light erupted. The massive off-road vehicle wreck began to disintegrate. The flames were forcibly extinguished by the system, the useful metals were refined into blocks, and the waste was pulverized into ash. What excited Lin Yuan most was the surge of warmth flowing into his body through his arm. Absorbing external energy. Energy points 150. Absorbing external energy. Energy points 160. In just 10 minutes, the 3 vehicles and scattered supplies had skyrocketed Lin Yuan's energy point reserve to a staggering 880 points. As the ancient said, crime pays. Lin Yuan mused, staring at the unprecedented fortune on his panel, the ambition in his eyes beginning to swell. With this kind of capital, let's see who dares to mess with my base now. How to spend the money. Lin Yuan sat in the command chair, the holographic screen before him filled with tempting icons. Although his base now had walls and traps, it lacked true hard kill capabilities. If Black Serpent actually drove those 2 armored vehicles over, the Claymore mines wouldn't be able to penetrate them. We must upgrade our firepower, and it has to be firepower from a different era. Lin Yuan's gaze locked onto a blueprint he had long coveted. Twin-linked 20mm Gauss Sentry machine gun, turret type, kinetic defense facility, damage rating C, can easily shred, light armor, rate of fire 2,000 rounds, min, effective range 5 kilometers. Description: abandoned gunpowder. Using electromagnetic acceleration rails, solid tungsten darts are accelerated to Mach 5. No recoil, no muzzle flash, only the howl of death. Manufacturing requirements: special steel X50, high-purity copper coils X20, fire control chip X1, energy points X300. Build them, and he'll build 2. Lin Yuan declared with a grand wave of his hand, brimming with boldness. The steel obtained from dismantling the off-road vehicle just now happened to be special steel, fully meeting the requirements. Worker B Unit 01, prepare the foundation pour. Location: the high platforms on both sides of the cave entrance. System: begin reconstruction. This manufacturing process was exceptionally spectacular. In the open space outside the living module, countless metal ingots floated in midair. Encased in blue arcs of electricity, they were stretched into slender electromagnetic railgun barrels. Intricate copper coils wound themselves as if alive. Mad Dog, who was moving scrap material nearby, was so terrified by the sight that he fell to his knees, murmuring miracle under his breath. An hour later, 2 ferocious-looking turrets radiating a cold metallic luster were installed in their designated positions. They lacked the bulky ammunition drums of traditional machine guns, replaced instead by cables directly connecting to the base's energy supply and a long ammunition feed belt. The muzzles weren't round holes, but 2 parallel electromagnetic rails. Test connection. Lin Yuan sat at the control console, his fingers tapping on the keyboard. 2 new windows instantly popped up on the screen. The high-definition targeting perspectives of the machine gun turrets. The field of view was exceptionally wide, equipped with built-in infrared thermal imaging and motion capture. Lin Yuan tried moving the crosshair, locking onto a rock a kilometer away. Locked. The turret rotated instantly, the motor sound barely audible, precisely aimed at the target. This is what security feels like. Lin Yuan patted the armrest with satisfaction. With these 2 gatekeepers, Black Serpent's so-called armed mining vehicles were nothing but moving targets in his eyes. But this wasn't enough. Lin Yuan knew well that war is fought on logistics. Although the 2 Gauss turrets were immensely powerful, their power consumption was also staggering. The base, originally powered by the old or truck's battery, simply couldn't support them. Energy points are down to 280. Can't spend them recklessly. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and decided to invest the remaining resources into the energy system. He located a fissure with geothermal activity on the map. Worker B Unit 01, blast open that fissure. I'm going to build a basic geothermal energy conversion station. The next few hours saw the entire underground cavern bustling with intense activity. Lin Yuan directed the mechanical spider to dig trenches and lay cables. Mad Dog was driven to carry rocks and reinforce the defensive walls. When the first stream of geothermal steam pushed the turbine into rotation, the power indicator on the base's main control screen finally shifted from a glaring red to a stable green. Power supply stable. Current output 500 kW. Sufficient to maintain full power operation of both turrets for 30 minutes. After completing all this, Lin Yuan felt utterly exhausted, yet his spirits were incredibly high. He took out a piece of synthetic bread, sandwiched a slice of expired ham scavenged from Mad Dog's vehicle, and took a large bite. Beep, beep, beep. Just then, the system monitoring Mad Dog's vehicle communication console suddenly intercepted an encrypted signal. Lin Yuan immediately put down his food. Play it. After a burst of static, a gloomy hoarse voice came through like a snake, hissing, "That idiot Mad Dog has gone silent. 3 crews all gone. No matter which deity did this, anyone who dares touch my people will pay the price. Number 2, gather everyone. Bring out those 2 behemoths. Before sunrise tomorrow, I'm going to raise that Rift Valley to the ground." The communication cut out. Lin Yuan wiped the breadcrumbs from the corner of his mouth, his gaze terrifyingly calm. He glanced at the time. There were 6 hours until sunrise. Raise it to the ground. Lin Yuan stood up, walked to the large bulletproof glass window, and looked out at the 2 turrets glowing with blue light in the darkness. I'm really looking forward to seeing who raises whom. The night in the 7th mining district was longer and colder than anywhere else. Yet 500 meters underground within the Spark base, a scene of bustling activity unfolded. No one cared about the time, for the countdown to death loomed over everyone's heads. The harsh, piercing screech of metal cutting echoed through the empty cavern. In the open space before the base gate, the mechanical arm worker B01 tirelessly wielded its welding torch, its blue arc casting a ghastly pallor over the surrounding rock walls. Lin Yuan sat before the command console, his eyes bloodshot, yet his spirit was in a state of morbid excitement. His fingers flew across the holographic keyboard at a speed so fast they seemed to leave afterimages in the air. System report: current ammunition reserves. Ammunition tallying. 20 mm tungsten alloy armor-piercing spikes, 320 rounds. Estimated consumption rate at full speed firing can only sustain machine gun turret operation for 9.6 seconds. Not enough. Far from enough. Lin Yuan slammed the table hard. What could 9.6 seconds accomplish? Perhaps it could blow up those 2 armed mining vehicles, but what about the remaining dozens of thugs? Once they stormed the base with his own frail body, he would only be minced into meat paste. Mad Dog. Lin Yuan roared into the communicator. Seconds later, the prisoner Mad Dog, covered in dust and exhaustion, stumbled over. The electronic collar around his neck flickered with a chilling red light. "Boss, I'm here. I'm working too." Mad Dog raised his shovel, its edge worn smooth, his voice laced with tears. "Stop moving those rocks, it's too slow." Lin Yuan pointed at the narrowest passage at the cave entrance. "Take that repaired or truck over and dig up the ground there. I want an anti-tank ditch 3 meters wide and 2 meters deep. Understand?" Mad Dog froze, staring at the hard basalt ground. "Boss, that's all solid rock underneath. The truck's bucket might break." "Then break it." Lin Yuan's gaze was as cold as ice. "If it's not done by dawn, I'll use you as the roadbed." Mad Dog shuddered, a fear that came from the depths of his soul. Without another word, he turned and ran for the ore truck, even falling once from weak legs before scrambling aboard. Having dismissed Mad Dog, Lin Yuan turned his attention back to the resource panel. The special steel obtained from dismantling the off-road vehicle was mostly used up. The remainder was only enough for a few hundred more rounds. This was a high-stakes gamble with his life as the wager. If firepower is insufficient, tactics must compensate. If the body is weak, machinery must make up for it. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. He pulled up his own attribute panel, staring at the pitiful physique 4.5. In this asymmetrical war, he himself was the shortest plank. If the defense line was breached, or if that damned exoskeleton soldier launched a decapitation strike, he would surely die. System open, the individual equipment manufacturing list. Countless gray icons scrolled across the holographic screen. Finally, Lin Yuan's gaze locked onto a piece of equipment with a rugged aesthetic exuding industrial brutal beauty. Exoskeleton power arm, civilian modified version. Description: this is not a military precision armor, but a worker's force multiplier. It is crude heavy, but the power flowing through its hydraulic rods is enough to tear open a tank's armor with your bare hands. Manufacturing requirements: heavy hydraulic rod X4, servo motor X2, vehicle drive shaft X1, energy points X150. Attached weapon slot, can mount plasma cutter, requires separate manufacturing. This is it. Lin Yuan stared at the exposed pipes and steel plates, a gleam of fanaticism flashing in his eyes. The materials were just enough, The drive shaft from the scrapped or truck hadn't been dismantled yet. Worker B no. 1. Suspend ammunition production. Priority sequence power arm manufacturing. Execute immediately. The next 2 hours were the most agonizing time of Lin Yuan's life. He simultaneously monitored the radar, watching the cluster of red dots slowly gathering like a plague drawing near, and the progress bar on the manufacturing platform crawling upwards. Outside the base, Mad Dog drove the ore truck with a roaring thunder ramming the ground like a madman, sparks flying everywhere. Inside, a precision 3D printing nozzle layered metal upon metal hydraulic oil was injected into the pipes and circuit boards were soldered onto the joints. Finally, with a crisp ding, a set of silver-gray metallic frame reeking of machine oil lay silently on the workbench. It wasn't as streamlined as in sci-fi movies, even somewhat ugly, every weld point exuding a ferocious intent meant for killing. Lin Yuan stepped forward, his hands trembling as they touched the cold metal. He took off his jacket, wearing only a vest, and stood with his back to the workbench. The mechanical arm descended, locking the heavy power arm frame onto his shoulders and waist. Click! The sound of the lock engaging was crisp and pleasant. Then came the cool touch of several sensing electrodes against his skin. Activate, Lin Yuan commanded in a low voice. Hum! The micro battery pack on his back activated, and a pale blue indicator light glowed. Lin Yuan felt a faint electric current surge through his body instantly, the signal of a neural link establishing. He tried to raise his right hand. The once heavy metal arm now felt as light as nothing, as if it had become part of his body. With his movement, the servo motor emitted a faint buzzing sound, and the hydraulic rods telescoped instantly. Lin Yuan walked to a scrap steel plate, a remnant of the off-road vehicle's armor a full 2 centimeters thick. He took a deep breath and suddenly threw a punch. The loud clang rang painfully in his eardrums. There was no expected recoil as the hydraulic buffer system perfectly absorbed the impact. Lin Yuan looked closely and saw a fist imprint 2 inches deep, clearly stamped into the hard armor steel, with terrifying cracks radiating from the surrounding metal. Excellent! Lin Yuan couldn't help but roar. This feeling of overwhelming power swept away the pent-up frustration he had carried for so long. This was the power of technology. A mortal body could rival the gods. He then looked at the outer side of his right arm, where an unactivated plasma cutter was mounted. With the press of a switch, the super high-temperature plasma beam could instantly cut through most substances in the world. It was the final surprise reserved for Black Serpent. Boss, dug it. Mad Dog's breathless voice came through the communicator. The truck's nearly falling apart, but I dug a deep trench. Unless their vehicles can fly, there's no way they're getting through. Lin Yuan checked the time. There were only 30 minutes left until the predicted contact time, according to the radar. Good work, Mad Dog. Park the truck sideways to block, then find the deepest corner to hide. Lin Yuan's voice was eerily calm. If you don't want to die from stray bullets, pray that my turrets don't jam. Wearing the power arm, he walked with heavy steps to the base's large bulletproof glass window. Outside, 2 Gauss sentry machine gun turrets had stopped rotating, pointing silently into the dark abyss like 2 silent gods of death. The geothermal generator was running at full power, its low rumble like the drumbeat of war. Lin Yuan took out a piece of synthetic bread and swallowed it dry without water. The coarse food scraped his throat, bringing a sharp pain, but it kept him utterly clear-headed. Come on, he whispered in the darkness, his eyes reflecting the eerie blue light of the console. Tonight, I rewrite the rules of the 7th Mining District. On the surface, the darkness before dawn was at its thickest. Yet in the subterranean world, there was no distinction between day and night. Only eternal stillness and cold. At that moment, the silence was brutally shattered by a low, dense roar of engines. At the entrance to the northern canyon of the 7th Mining District, a massive convoy was raising clouds of dust. Leading the way were 2 heavy mining vehicles heavily modified beyond recognition. The mechanical arms originally used for breaking rock had been removed, replaced by rough but thick composite armor plates. On the roofs, rotating turrets were welded with 2 20mm autocannons pointing darkly ahead. They bore a formidable name, Behemoths. This was the capital of the Black Serpent Gang's tyranny in the 7th Mining District. Behind the 2 behemoths followed a dozen or so off-road vehicles and motorcycles filled with thugs wielding steel pipes, homemade guns, and even Molotov cocktails. They howled and brandished their weapons as if heading not to battle, but to a carnival. Inside a luxurious command vehicle at the center of the convoy, Black Serpent lounged in a leather seat, idly toying with 2 walnut-sized metal balls. He was a gaunt, middle-aged man, half his face scarred by burns, giving him a particularly ferocious appearance. At that moment, his eyes held little tension, more a Catan mouse amusement. Boss, that canyon's up ahead, came a voice over the walkie-talkie. That's where Mad Dog's signal vanished. Black Serpent let out a cold laugh. Mad Dog's a waste. Took 3 vehicles and couldn't handle a newcomer. But that's fine, means the kid's got something good. Through the bulletproof glass, he gazed at the canyon entrance, deep and gaping like the maw of a giant beast. Give the order both behemoths advance side by side. Turn on all searchlights. Anyone who dares resist, blast them to bits. I want that newcomer to know who rules the 7th mining district. Yes, boss. The convoy rolled into the underground in full force. As the slope descended, the once boisterous thugs gradually fell silent. The environment was too eerie. No ambush, as expected, no gunfire. Only the crunch of tires over gravel and an increasingly warm, almost comfortable temperature. This warmth feels like spring on Earth, Black Serpent murmured, his greed intensifying. An underground base with its own climate control system. If he could seize it as the gang's headquarters, the Black Serpent gang's power would surely ascend another level. We're here. I see lights, the lead vehicle suddenly shouted. At the edge of the convoy's searchlights, the cavern opened wide. A sci-fi silver-white base stood silently a few hundred meters away. It seemed out of place in this wasteland, clean tidy with a leveled square at its entrance. At the far end of the square stood the student Mad Dog had mentioned, clad in a strange mechanical exoskeleton, alone behind a freshly dug trench. Huh, is that it, eh? The Black Serpent thugs burst into raucous laughter. One man. Does he think he's Rambo? What kind of junk exoskeleton is that? Looks like it's for hauling bricks on a construction site. Boss, let me go. They'll blow his head off. Black Serpent laughed too. He picked up the walkie-talkie, his tone dripping with contempt. Kid, I admire your guts. Neil, now open that base behind you, and I might consider leaving you whole. His voice echoed through the empty cavern. But the young man did not kneel. He merely raised a metal-clad arm and pointed upward at the convoy. Huh. Black Serpent instinctively looked up. In that instant, chaos erupted. The camouflage tarps on the high platforms flanking the cavern entrance suddenly fell away. Two menacing twin-barreled turrets glowing with faint blue light bared their fangs. They did not roar like traditional gunpowder weapons. Instead, they emitted a grating high-voltage-like buzz. Gauss Sentry machine gun turret. Target locked. Fire control system, full auto mode. Open fire. No muzzle flash. Only the terrifying shriek of air being torn apart at 5 times the speed of sound. Zing. The lead behemoth mining vehicle didn't even have time to turn its turret. A series of dazzling sparks instantly erupted on its frontal armor. These sparks were not from burning, but from metal liquefying in an instant under unimaginable kinetic impact, forming plasma clouds. Thud, thud, thud. The thick armor, once capable of withstanding rockfalls, was as fragile as wet tissue paper against 20mm solid tungsten darts. The terrifying kinetic energy punched straight through the cockpit, turning the driver and seat into a mist of blood. Then the armor-piercing round struck the engine and ammunition box behind. Boom! The first behemoth exploded in midair. A massive fireball instantly engulfed 3 nearby motorcycles. Several tons of wreckage were hurled by the shockwave, crashing heavily into the convoy behind. What the hell? The smile on Black Serpent's face froze, replaced by sheer terror. Such rate of fire, such power. Even the Federation's regular infantry fighting vehicles were no match. Counterattack. Now! He screamed hysterically. The remaining behemoths scrambled to open fire. But Lin Yuan gave it no chance. Standing before the base, Lin Yuan watched expressionlessly. On his retina, the fire control system's auxiliary crosshair was projected. Take out the second one, he murmured softly. The 2 turrets seemed to understand their master's command. Blue light flickered and the barrels adjusted. Buzz, buzz, buzz. It was the sound of Death's chainsaw. The second behemoth's turret had barely turned before a dense hail of bullets sheared it off. Yes, sheared off. A dozen tungsten darts struck the same spot in succession, severing the turret ring. The multi-ton turret rolled off like a toy. Then a torrent of bullets turned the vehicle into a sieve. In just 10 seconds, the Black Serpent gang's 2 prized aces were annihilated. The cavern had become an abattoir. The thugs on motorcycles and off-road vehicles were utterly broken. This was no battle. It was a dimensional strike. They couldn't even see where the enemy's turrets were, while every enemy round took 1 or several lives. Run. He's a demon. Help. My leg. Don't push. Let me go. The convoy descended into chaos. Some tried to turn back, others abandoned their vehicles and fled on foot. But the narrow passage had become a funnel of death. Since you're here, stay, Lin Yuan said without a shred of... He felt no sympathy for these scum who had plundered and killed in the mining district. He tapped his finger. Switch target infantry units. Firing mode semi-auto. The 2 turrets began a rhythmic roll call. Each short screech was accompanied by a burst of blood mist. Whether hiding behind vehicles or in rock crevices, it was futile against infrared thermal imaging and intelligent fire control. Black Serpent lay trembling under the command vehicle's chassis. At that moment, he finally understood what kind of existence he had provoked. It was no fat sheep. It was a mechanical demon in human skin. Stop. Stop killing. Black Serpent screamed in despair, though his voice was lost in the explosions. Suddenly, the intense gunfire ceased. The cavern fell silent save for the crackling of burning wreckage and the dying moans of the wounded. Black Serpent raised his head shakily, thinking the enemy had run out of ammo. But the next second he witnessed a sight that made his heart stop. From the shadows of the silver base, 5 enormous mechanical spiders crawled out. They moved nimbly across the trench and over the bodies. Among them, the young man in the exoskeleton, holding an unactivated plasma blade, stepped forward through the scattered shell casings and blood one step at a time. His voice, amplified by a loudspeaker, fell like a judgment. Black Serpent, right? I heard you have a stone you want to. The smoke of gunpowder like a heavy shroud enveloped the deathly silent underground cavern. 2 Gauss turrets had ceased their roar, their chilling rotating barrels still glowing faintly red, radiating heat that warped the air. On the ground lay a hellish scene. The once invincible behemoth armed mining vehicle was now nothing but a pile of burning scrap, molten metal dripping onto the rocks with a sizzling sound. Behind it lay wrecked off-road vehicles and the broken bodies of thugs. Donning a rugged exoskeleton, exuding an industrial, brutal aesthetic, Lin Yuan stepped deliberately through the sea of spent shell casings. With each step, the hydraulic assist system emitted a dull mechanical roar like the footfalls of death itself. Behind him, 5 mechanical spiders like loyal hounds nimbly wove through the corpses. If any unfortunate soul was still moaning, they would unhesitatingly administer a tranquilizer dart. Lin Yuan needed labor, not corpses, unless they attempted to resist. A violent coughing fit came from beneath the wreckage of the command vehicle. That luxurious armored command car had its roof sheared off. Black Snake, his face covered in blood, was trapped between the deformed seat and the chassis. His proud gangster empire had crumbled to ashes in a mere 30 seconds. Lin Yuan stopped 3 meters away from him. At this distance, he could even smell the bizarre mixture of expensive cologne and the metallic tang of blood emanating from Black Snake. You. Who the hell are you? Black Snake lifted his head with difficulty, his remaining eye filled with fear and confusion. This firepower, this equipment, even the Federation's regular army is no match. You can't possibly be an exiled student. Lin Yuan did not answer. He raised his right arm, and with a slight movement of his fingers, the plasma cutter mounted on the exoskeleton's forearm activated instantly. A dazzling blue-white plasma beam about half a meter long shot forth. The surrounding air was instantly ionized, emitting a piercing hum. The terrifying heat began to discolor the nearby rocks. Who I am is unimportant, Lin Yuan's voice filtered through his helmet, sounding distorted and cold. What matters is that you have something I need. Black Snake stared at the plasma blade, his pupils contracting sharply. He knew that with a mere flick of his wrist the man could cut through him like butter. In his despair, his innate cunning ferocity was fully awakened. You want that? Black Snake suddenly let out a strange, shrill laugh. That's a demon's stone. It devours people. Since I can't live, let's all go mad together. With that, Black Snake violently pulled a lead box from his chest and crushed it with all his might. A fist-sized pitch-black crystal covered in irregular facets rolled out. The moment it was exposed to the air, a sudden change occurred. A low-frequency oscillation not heard through the ears, but detonated directly deep within the brain, swept through the entire cavern. The crystal seemed alive, a strange purplured glow beginning to flow within it. In the distance, Mad Dog and the other surviving captives instantly screamed in agony, rolling on the ground, foaming at the mouth, as if seeing the most terrifying hallucinations. Even the mechanical spiders froze for a split second, their electronic eyes flashing red erratically. Warning. High-intensity psychic pulse interference detected. Warning. SAN check in progress. Watching this, Black Snake laughed wildly. See, this is the whisper of a god. Anyone who gets close will have their mind shattered. Die with me, huh? His laughter abruptly stopped, because he saw that the young man standing before him remained perfectly steady without even a tremor. A momentary flash of red static did appear in Lin Yuan's vision, but in the next second the system's cold blue interface forcibly overrode everything. Psychic attack detected. System firewall has automatically intercepted. Host mental state stable. Immunity successful. Is that all? Lin Yuan tilted his head, a hint of mockery in his tone. If you were hoping to kill me with some broadcast noise, you're in for a disappointment. Impossible. This is impossible. Black Snake's worldview completely shattered. He had obtained this stone by chance. Just opening it a crack before would make his most vicious underlings wet their pants in fear. Why was it ineffective against this youth? As a villain, you talk too much. Lin Yuan gave him no more chances. With a roar of the hydraulics, Lin Yuan's form flickered instantly, closing the 3-meter gap. Black Snake only saw a flash of blue light. There was no sensation of resistance. The plasma cutter sliced through the deformed car door, severing Black Snake's flailing arm and half his chest in an instant. The cut was smooth as a mirror, instantly carbonized by the high heat, with no blood even spilling. The gang boss who once ruled the 7th mining district was now a mutilated, charred corpse. Lin Yuan deactivated the cutter, bent down, and picked up the black crystal that was still emitting a faint purple glow. In the eyes of those without the system's protection, it was a madness-inducing poison. But in Lin Yuan's hands, the prompt box the system displayed was golden. Key item acquired: high-purity psychic resonance crystal encryption key. Description: a relic from a previous era's civilization. It is an energy source, a storage device, and a key. Use can be used to unlock the physical seal of the T9 underground data center. Energy contained extremely high can be directly converted to 5,000 energy points or retained as 5,000 points. Lin Yuan's breath hitched, but he quickly calmed down. No, killing the goose that lays the golden eggs is a fool's move. Since this thing is a key, what lies behind it must be worth far more than 5,000 points. He stored the crystal into the system's built-in subspace storage grid, which isolates all radiation. With the crystal gone, the oppressive, terrifying force field instantly dissipated. In the distance, Mad Dog and the others stopped convulsing, lying limp like dead dogs gasping for air. Lin Yuan turned around, surveying the chaotic battlefield and the survivors whose eyes were filled with awe and terror. He activated the exoskeleton's loudspeaker, his voice echoing through the cavern. Black Snake is dead. From today, the 7th mining district belongs to me. Those who want to live, put on a collar and line up over there first. Those who don't want to live, I'll send you on your way right now. A deathly silence lasted for 3 seconds. Then the vicious thugs who were usually so menacing scrambled desperately towards the electronic collars scattered on the ground, as if they were their only lifeline. Lin Yuan watched this scene, his heart untouched. On this cruel moon, mercy was a luxury, order was and he was the new order here. The cleanup after a battle often brings a more tangible sense of victory than the fight itself. Lin Yuan sat in the command room, holding a cup of freshly brewed hot coffee, a trophy scavenged from Black Serpent's command vehicle. On the holographic screen before him, numbers were frantically jumping. This was a true overnight fortune. First, there were energy points. Killing Black Serpent gang members, destroying vehicles, recycling scrap metal. The system log flooded Lin Yuan's vision, making him dizzy. Settlement complete. Current remaining energy points, 3,450. Over 3,400. Lin Yuan stared at the number, unable to suppress a grin. Just a few hours ago, he had been fretting over a few hundred energy points, even resorting to digging in septic tanks to synthesize food. Now he was a landowner with considerable assets. This fortune was enough to upgrade his base to LV2, and even unlock the intermediate automated factory to produce more sophisticated robots, finally leaving the era of handcrafting parts behind. Next came supplies. The Black Serpent gang had essentially thrown their entire strength into this assault, which also meant they had delivered their entire treasury to him. Mad Dog, now appointed as the slave overseer, led over 20 captives wearing shock collars, moving like industrious ants to carry intact weapons, ammunition, food, and fuel into the base's warehouse. Reporting, boss. Mad Dog reported tremblingly through the communicator. We found a somewhat strange device in Black Serpent's trunk. Looks like some kind of generator. Lin Yuan pulled up the surveillance footage. Several captives were carrying a complex cylindrical machine. System scanning. Item: military-grade portable optical cloaking field generator, 70 damaged. Assessment: this was one of Black Serpent's trump cards for dominating the mines for years. Though broken, the core chip holds significant research value. Good stuff, take it to the lab. Lin Yuan was in high spirits. After handling the trivial matters, he turned his attention to the most important goal. He stood up, dusted off his clothes, and walked alone toward the deepest part of the cave. There, the black metal wall that Spider No. 5 had previously unearthed stood silently in the darkness. Because he had been busy preparing for battle, Lin Yuan hadn't had time to study it closely. Now up close, he could feel the oppressive aura of the wall. It stood 20 meters tall, its width unknown, completely embedded within the hard granite layer. The wall's surface was unlike any known metal on Earth. It felt warm and smooth like jade, yet was indestructible. The intricate golden runes on its surface began to pulse faintly, like breathing, as Lin Yuan approached. Is this the temple that antique dealer spoke of? Lin Yuan took out the black crystal. The moment the crystal appeared, the runes on the wall seemed to be summoned, their brightness surging instantly, driving away the surrounding darkness. A grand, desolate aura rushed toward him, as if a giant who had slept for eons was awakening. Matching key detected. Attempting handshake. Protocol passed. Relic codename T9 Crimson Data Node. Security lock disengaged. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and pressed the crystal into a recess in the center of the wall. It fit perfect. Click. Rumble. A dull vibration came from deep underground, causing the entire cave to tremble. The black wall did not slide open to the sides. Instead, like liquid mercury, it began to melt and recede from the center, eventually forming a circular archway 3 meters in diameter. Behind the door, instead of stale air, a fresh breeze carrying a faint scent of ozone blew out. Lin Yuan activated the searchlight on his exoskeleton and stepped inside. The sight before him shocked even someone like him who possessed a system. This was no temple. There were no statues of gods. It was a corridor crafted entirely from silver-white alloy. Neat rows of transparent cylindrical pillars lined both sides, containing the long-dried tissues of some biological organisms. At the end of the corridor was a massive, semicircular hall. In the center, a giant blue orb of light, 5 meters in diameter, hovered and rotated slowly, though its radiance was dim. Warning: entering high-energy zone. Prehistoric civilization remnant facility detected. Planetary class automatic defense system control hub wreckage. Current status: energy depleted, offline. Recoverable technology: 1. High-efficiency photosynthesis crop cultivation tank. 2. Primary anti-gravity engine blueprint. 3. Nano repair fluid formula. Lin Yuan's breathing quickened. He had initially thought it was just an alien shelter or a treasure vault. Unexpectedly, it was a control hub. Although most functions were damaged, each of the 3 recoverable technologies listed by the system would be enough to trigger a third world war on Earth. Especially the first one, high-efficiency photosynthesis crops. On the moon, food was always the primary limiting factor. If he could establish an efficient agricultural zone here, he would completely break free from logistical constraints and could even start exporting food to other mining areas or even back to Earth. This is the starting point of the snowball effect. Lin Yuan walked under the giant light orb. At that moment, the orb flickered. A mechanical voice devoid of any emotion. Different from Lin Yuan's system voice, this one was older and harsher, but translated into Chinese by the system. Echoed through the hull: carbon-based life form detected. Gene sequence match 001. Does not match creator characteristics. But key detected. Access downgraded to temporary visitor. Welcome to node T9 of visitor. This node has 0.5 energy remaining and will enter permanent hibernation. Please complete data download within 10 minutes. Only 10 minutes. Startled, Lin Yuan immediately shouted at the system. Stop playing dead. Full speed download. Swallow everything you can. Empty out all the technological blueprints in here. Command confirmed. Data plunder mode activated. Establishing connection. Download speed 10 TB/sec. Countless streams of blue data flashed wildly before Lin Yuan's eyes. Fragments of knowledge about genetic modification, energy weapons, and interstellar navigation poured into the system's database like a flood. Lin Yuan felt a throbbing pain in his head, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. This was knowledge. This was power, the cornerstone of the future Starfire fleet. 10 minutes later, the orb went completely dark, turning into a dull stone. The ancient voice spoke again: energy depleted. Good luck, visitor. Beware. The devourer. The voice faded. Lin Yuan collapsed to the ground, panting heavily, drenched in cold sweat. Though his body was utterly exhausted, his eyes blazed with an unsettling brightness. He opened the system panel. In the tech tree section, several previously grayed-out advanced icons were now radiating a tempting golden light. Unlocked T1 Lunar Improved Potato Growth Cycle 7 days. Unlocked Intelligent Combat Robot Humanoid Blueprint. Unlocked Small-Scale Nuclear Fusion Reactor Incomplete Version. Lin Yuan stood up, looking at the empty ancient hall, and clenched his fist. The Black Serpent Gang was just the beginning. With these things I will build a true city of eternal light on the far side of the moon. As the first warm current from the geothermal power generator flowed through the pipes to the newly established Beat District plantation, Lin Yuan was crouched on the ground, as if performing some sacred ritual. Before him stood rows of rectangular planting troughs, meticulously welded from titanium alloy plates. Inside these troughs lay not just anything but crushed, filtered, and sterilized lunar soil, weathered rock fragments. This soil had been deemed death soil by countless scientists over the past few decades. It contained no organic matter and even harbored harmful perchlorates for plants. Boss, are you really going to plant something in the rocks? Crazy Dog, now designated as Foreman No. 001, stood beside him, wearing a collar that flickered with red light, holding a bucket of freshly mixed nutrient solution. His gaze was one of disbelief. Behind him, over 20 former members of the Black Snake Gang were now covered in dirt as they transported water pipes. They too did not believe it. On the far side of the moon, wanting to eat vegetables. Only the big shots of the federal governor's office, relying on expensive air transport or top-notch ecological recycling pods, could enjoy that. For miners like them, who were worth less than dirt, the only green they had ever seen in their lives was probably the moldy nutrient paste. Lin Yuan ignored their doubts. He carefully opened the silver metal box he had brought back from the T9 ruins. As the pressure valve opened, a faint cool air spilled out. Inside the box lay 12 pale yellow tuber slices, which looked like gems. Item T1 Type Lunar Improved Potato Dormant Seed Source Prehistoric Civilization Gene Bank Characteristics Cold-Resistant Drought-Resistant Photosynthesis Efficiency is 300 times that of Earth varieties. Growth Cycle 7 days under System Acceleration. Description: this is not just food, it is the spark of civilization. Pour the perchlorate neutralizer into the soil. Lin Yuan commanded. Although Crazy Dog felt uneasy, he did not dare to slack off, and hurriedly poured the solution evenly over the soil trough. A cloud of white smoke rose, and after the acrid chemical reaction dissipated, the originally gray-white lunar soil surprisingly exhibited a moist hue reminiscent of Earth's black soil. Wearing gloves, Lin Yuan carefully buried the 12 seed pieces. System activate the mini ecological cycle station. Target area be district planning trench. Command confirmed. Energy points consumed 500 points. Constructing simulated atmospheric environment. Humidity adjustment in progress. Ultraviolet filtration membrane activated. Buzz, a faint green light shield enveloped the planting trough. To Crazy Dog and the others this was a miracle. They could feel the air around the light shield becoming moist and, listen up, everyone. Lin Yuan stood up, dusting off the dirt from his hands, his gaze sweeping across all the slaves present. I know what you were thinking. You think I'm crazy, think I'm wasting water. The slaves lowered their heads, afraid to meet his gaze. In the 7th mining area, life is cheaper than water. But starting today, I'm setting a rule. Lin Yuan pointed at the empty soil trough. Whoever can take care of these potatoes will be able to remove their collar and become a formal employee of my Spark company. Not only will there be a salary, but... Lin Yuan paused, dropping a heavy bombshell. Moreover, the first batch of harvested potatoes I will reward. Not nutrient solution, but real steaming baked potatoes. Boom. The crowd instantly erupted with excitement. Baked potatoes. That soft texture, the fullness brought by carbohydrates. For these people who drink chemical waste every day, it was a delicacy they could only dream of. Crazy Dog's Adam's apple moved violently, his eyes instantly reddened. Boss, are you serious? As long as we grow them, will you really let us eat? I never go back on my word, Lin Yuan said calmly, but if anyone dares to slack off or ruin my seedlings. He glanced at the Gauss machine gun turret nearby, which was wiping its barrel. I want dare? Absolutely not. Crazy Dog shouted, turning to kick his subordinate. What are you all standing around for? Check the temperature controller. Go fetch water. If anyone lets these potatoes go thirsty, I'll chop them up for fertilizer. The next 3 days were surreal for the people in the underground base. Those originally fierce thugs became more careful than embroidery girls. They took turns guarding the planting trough, watching the thermometer, and some even prayed to the soil trough. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan was engaged in far-reaching planning in the command room. With the heritage left by the Black Snake Gang, coupled with the system's assistance, the speed of his base construction improved tenfold. But what concerned him most were those few potatoes. On the morning of the 3rd day lunar time, Crazy Dog suddenly burst into the command room like a madman, forgetting to knock on the door with snot and tears on his face. Boss, a miracle, a miracle. Lin Yuan put down the electronic blueprint in his hand, frowning slightly. What happened? Did something explode or cave in? No, it's not. It's green. It's green. Crazy Dog was so excited he was incoherent. Lin Yuan's heart stirred, and he immediately rushed towards B District. When he arrived at the plantation, it was already surrounded by slaves. These men who could kill without blinking were now holding their breath, as if afraid that breathing too heavily would blow something away. Lin Yuan squeezed into the crowd. He saw several tender green seedlings stubbornly poking their heads out from the dark brown soil. That tender green color in this moon world of only gray, white, and black appeared so striking, so vibrant, so soul-stirring. That was the color of life. An elderly miner suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud, trembling hands wanting to touch, then retracting, weeping loudly. On this desolate planet, this touch of green meant they were no longer consumables that could be discarded at any time. It meant they might have a chance to survive here. Lin Yuan looked at the seedling, and the system's prompt sound rang pleasantly in his ears. Congratulations, host. Successfully cultivated the first batch of T1 lunar potato seedlings. Achievement unlocked, Wasteland Farmer. Reward energy points 1000. Reward blueprint unlocked. Fully automatic hydroponic greenhouse factory. Lin Yuan took a deep breath of the plant-scented air, turned around, and looked at the slaves with tears on their faces. In that moment, he knew their hearts were united. No longer slaves maintained by fear and collars, but the true embryonic form of a cohesive team. What are you crying about? Lin Yuan's voice was cold, but a smile lingered at the corner of his mouth. This is just the beginning. From now on, we will plant crops here, grow forests. Let those on Earth who throw us away like garbage see who the real. Long live the boss. The cheers shook the entire cavern. However, Lin Yuan did not know that at the same time this touch of green was born, a report on abnormal energy fluctuations in the 7th mining area had already been sent to the desk of the governor's office in the most prosperous New Shanghai city on the moon. On the near side of the moon, New Shanghai City Luna Prime stood as a stark contrast to the desolate far side, like two different universes. A colossal transparent dome enveloped the city, shielding it from the lethal vacuum and radiation. Beneath the dome, neon lights flickered, holographic billboards swam between skyscrapers, and anti-gravity vehicles wove through the air in a ceaseless flow. This was a paradise for the powerful elite, a radiant jewel of humanity's interstellar era. At the city's heart atop a towering black skyscraper was the lunar branch of Zhao Heavy Industries. Inside an excessively spacious office, the azure earth hung beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, a magnificent vista visible only from the moon's near side. A woman in a white business suit stood before the window, a glass of red wine in hand. She had a crisp short haircut and icy demeanor and bore the precision of a finely tuned instrument. Her name was Lin Yuan, director of Zhao Heavy Industries' Special Operations Division on the Moon. She was also one of the executors who had forged evidence and exiled Lin Yuan to the far side. A knock came at the door. Enter. Lin Yuan did not turn around. A burly man in tactical exoskeleton armor strode in, holding an electronic report with a grave expression. Director, our informant in the 7th mining zone has gone silent. Lin Yuan's hand swirling the wine paused slightly. Black Snake. What trouble has that fool stirred up now? Does he want credits or weapons? No, he's dead, the burly man said solemnly. Not just him, but the entire Black Snake gang, 52 people along with 2 behemoth mining vehicles, were annihilated in a single night. The life sign monitors installed on his vehicle show that everyone died within a span of no more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Lin Yuan finally turned around, a flicker of surprise in her narrow phoenix-like eyes. In a slum like the 7th mining zone, who could wipe out the Black Snake gang in 10 minutes? Was it warlords from other zones? Or the Federation patrol? Neither, the man replied, projecting a blurry satellite thermal image into the air. The image showed a piercing heat source deep within the pitch-black rift of the 7th mining zone. This was detected last night. Based on energy level analysis, it wasn't an ordinary explosion, but high-energy electromagnetic weaponry, possibly even a plasma reaction. The man paused, then continued. Moreover, we detected an extremely intense burst of psychic energy at these coordinates. The fluctuation frequency is very similar to the T-series ruins recorded in our archives. With a sharp clink, Lin Yuan gently set her wine glass down on the desk. Her gaze instantly turned razor-sharp. Ruins. Are you saying that so-called stone in Black Snake's hands actually opened something? It's highly likely. Furthermore, according to information we gathered from fleeing miners. The man hesitated, glancing at Lin Yuan's expression. The one who wiped out Black Snake seems to be Lin Yuan, the one we exiled half a month ago. The air in the office seemed to freeze instantly. Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan savored the name, then let out a light laugh. A smile laced with 3 parts disdain and 7 parts murderous intent. A bookworm who only knows how to draw blueprints. A useless fool who can't even put on a spacesuit properly. You're telling me he took out an armed gang with plasma weapons? I find it hard to believe too, but all intelligence points to it, the man said, bowing his head. Director, should I take the scavenger squad to check it out? If it really is the ruins. Of course you must go. Lin Yuan walked to her desk, her fingers tapping lightly on the surface. If it really is the T-series ruins, its value would be immeasurable. Chairman Zhao is looking for technology to break through the bottleneck of starship engines. It might be there. She paused, the cold glint in her eyes deepening. As for that Lin Yuan, if he's really stumbled upon some lucky encounter, then he definitely can't be left alive. Eliminate the roots, or the weeds will grow again when the spring wind blows. I want him alive, Lin Yuan commanded coldly. I need to know what he found in the ruins. Dig it out of his mind, or use a lie detector, whatever it takes. Once you're done, dispose of him cleanly. The burly man snapped to attention and saluted, a bloodthirsty gleam in his eyes. Scavenger 3rd Squad fully equipped with 4th-generation exoskeletons. Estimated arrival at the 7th mining zone in 12 hours. We will complete the mission. Watching her subordinate leave, Lin Yuan picked up her wine glass again, gazing at the blue planet outside the window. Lin Yuan. I thought I'd let you rot in the mud, but you managed to surprise me. Unfortunately, in this universe, a weakling's lucky break is often a strong man's buffet. At the same time, on the far side of the moon, in the underground base, Lin Yuan, who was directing Mad Dog and the others in expanding the greenhouse, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. It was the 6th sense honed from the brink of life and death. System, perform a full spectrum scan. I feel like someone's watching me. Scanning. Warning. Intercepted an encrypted directional beam from the moon's near side. Signal source analysis, Zhao Heavy Industries dedicated communication channel. Target locked, area 7th mining zone. Lin Yuan stared at the red warning on the holographic screen. The gentle look he had while observing the potato seedlings vanished, replaced by an endless icy chill. Zhao Heavy Industries. Lin Yuan. That name was etched into his bones. It was this woman who, with forged evidence, had personally destroyed his life. Here already. Faster than I expected. Lin Yuan clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. This time, he wasn't going to run. Mad Dog, he roared. Mad Dog, who was watering the potatoes, jumped in fright. Yes. Stop. Everyone drop everything right now. Lin Yuan's voice boomed through the base's broadcast system. Full combat alert. Everyone start moving the ammunition. Drag back the wreckage of those 2 smashed behemoths. I need them. Boss, who's coming this time? Mad Dog gulped, seeing Lin Yuan's murderous aura. Lin Yuan turned, looking at the dark tunnel entrance, a savage grin curling at the corner of his mouth. Old friends. A group of honored guests who want to swallow us whole, skin and bones. System, consume all remaining energy points. I'm going to upgrade this base into a fortress. With Lin Yuan's command, the underground cavern instantly transformed from a pastoral scene into a wartime industrial mode. Current energy point reserves 4,450 points, including the rewards from planting potatoes and the leftovers from raiding the Black Snake Gang. This was a substantial sum, giving Lin Yuan the confidence to confront the impending regular army. He stood before the command platform watching the 3D blueprint of the entire base slowly rotate on the holographic projection. Although the current base LV-1 had defensive towers, it was essentially a slightly larger shelter. Against the likes of Zhao's Heavy Industries, a giant with top-notch technology, 2 machine gun towers were insufficient. The enemy would certainly employ targeted electromagnetic interference or stealth units. We must possess mobile forces, and they must be mass-producible cannon fodder. Lin Yuan's fingers swiftly glided over the tech tree, eventually illuminating a key node. Intermediate automation mechanical workshop upgrade requirements: 5 tons of titanium alloy, 500 sets of precision electronic components, 2,000 energy points. Function unlocks multi-threaded manufacturing, nano-level processing precision, and the production line for humanoid combat units. Upgrade without hesitation. As 2,000 energy points were instantly deducted, the originally crude workbench in the center of the base was enveloped in a brilliant blue light. The mountains of metal debris from the wreckage of the Black Snake Gang's convoy automatically lifted, merging into that blue light like rivers converging into the sea. Booming, the ground trembled. When the light dissipated, a small factory covering an area of 200 square meters, exuding a cyberpunk aesthetic, appeared before everyone. 4 fully automated mechanical arms hung from the ceiling, conveyor belts twisted like veins, and the smelting furnace emitted a deep roar as the data streams on the display screen raced wildly. This is a miracle. The mad dog and the slaves were left dumbfounded. The most advanced factory they had ever seen in their lives was merely the Black Snake's repair shop. They had never witnessed such fully automated futuristic technology. Lin Yuan had no time to admire their expressions and immediately issued the first production order. Production target: T-800 type Sentinel combat robot mass production model. Blueprint source: T9 relic data package. Configuration: reinforced alloy frame, built-in infrared night vision sensors, 20mm rapid-fire cannon mounted on the right arm, high-frequency vibration blade mounted on the left arm. Cost: 300 energy points, 500 kilograms of metal per unit. Produce 5 units first. Lin Yuan once again invested 1,500 energy points. The remaining metal materials were nearly exhausted. The factory immediately began operation. This time it was no longer a simple assembly like the mechanical spider. Through the bulletproof glass, one could clearly see the laser cutter chiseling out precise joints amidst the sparks as the mechanical arms inserted complex hydraulic lines into the chest cavity, culminating with a black fire control chip implanted in the head. 20 minutes later, accompanied by the sound of the pressure valve releasing air, the factory doors opened. Thud, thud, thud. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed. 5 steel giants standing 5 meters tall, entirely black, with a single glowing eye on their heads, stepped out. They bore no human facial features, only cold armor and exposed pipelines. The rotating cannon in their hands emanated a suffocating sense of oppression. The mad dog was so frightened that his legs gave way and he sat directly on the ground. Had the Black Snake Gang faced these things back, then they probably wouldn't even need to step on that welcome gift mine. They would have been slaughtered outright. Attention, Lin Yuan commanded softly. Click. The 5 Sentinel robots halted in unison, turned. Their movements were as precise as if they were copied and pasted. The aura of absolute obedience, devoid of fear and pain, seemed to lower the temperature of the entire cavern by a few degrees. Very good. Lin Yuan nodded in satisfaction. This was his guard army. Though their numbers were still small in the narrow underground passages, these 5 robots were sufficient to form a steel wall. But this was not enough. Lin Yuan glanced at the remaining 900 energy points. He needed to address a critical issue: reconnaissance. If the people from Zhao's Heavy Industries reached his doorstep before he knew, it would be too passive. He needed to extend his vision outwards to the surface to several kilometers away. System manufacture: 10 micro floating recon eyes. Additionally, using the remaining materials, repair the main cannons of those 2 behemoth mining vehicles, transforming them into fixed gun emplacements on the second defensive line. The entire base became busy once again. Lin Yuan kicked the mad dog, saying, "Stop daydreaming. Take the men to dismantle the turrets from those 2 scrapped vehicles. Also bury all the remaining explosives at the top of that tunnel." Top. The mad dog was taken aback. "Boss, that's a mutually assured destruction tactic. What if there's a collapse? If we can't hold it, then it's mutual destruction." Lin Yuan looked at him coldly. "When Zhao's Heavy Industries arrives, they won't give you the chance to wear collars. They will simply eliminate you like pests. If you want to survive, you must fight with all your might." Hearing the words Zhao's Heavy Industries, the mad dog's face turned pale in an instant. As a veteran of the mines, he certainly understood what those 4 words signified. That was the Sky, an uncontestable behemoth. Yet looking at the 5 silent black robots before him, he glanced once more at the tender green potato sprouts in the distance. The mad dog gritted his teeth, a fierce glint flashing in his eyes. Damn it. Either way, it's death. As long as I follow the boss, I can still eat something warm. Let's go all out. He roared as he charged toward the crowd of slaves brothers. Get to work. For the potatoes. For survival. Watching the crowd busying themselves once more, Lin Yuan turned and walked back to the command platform. He pulled out the black crystal he had brought from the relic. The crystal was still radiating a faint warmth. The T9 node is just the beginning. Lin Yuan murmured, Li Yalan, you sent people here wanting nothing more than this. But what you don't know is that once this door opens, what may be released is not treasure, but a chasm that will. At this moment, on the edges of the radar screen, several barely noticeable red dots were rapidly entering the airspace of the 7th mining area. The clouds of war have already pressed down above. The night on the far side of the moon was a vast swath of black velvet, where even the faint glimmer of stars was obscured by the perpetual electrostatic dust that hung in the air. 5 kilometers from the Spark base, 3 small assault boats devoid of any light and coated in wave-absorbing material glided like phantoms across the wasteland. Their engines, specially silenced, left only the faintest thermal wake in the vacuum. This was the most elite wetwork squad under Zhao Heavy Industries, the Cleaner's 3rd squad. Codename Viper. Entering the silent zone. The cold voice of the squad leader Fong came through the comm channel. He sat in the command seat of Boat 1 clad in Zhao Heavy Industries' latest Ghost IV lightweight tactical exoskeleton. This gear not only provided immense power, but also housed an optical camouflage generator rendering a soldier nearly invisible in any environment. Intel confirmed target location: Underground Rift Sector 7. Enemy composition: 2 makeshift sentry turrets, several unknown model mining robots, and numerous thugs with crude weapons, remnants of the Black Snake gang. Mission objective: capture target Lin Yuan alive, retrieve T9 relic data. All others, eliminate. Fong sneered contemptuously at the crude thermal image of the underground entrance on his tactical visor. Just 2 turrets. Director Li is making a mountain out of a molehill. A defense like this in a backwater place, Ghost alone could cripple it. The one called Ghost was the squad's electronic warfare expert. He chuckled softly, his fingers dancing across the holographic keyboard on his forearm guard. Give me 30 seconds. They'll make their eyes blind and their ears deaf. At the same time, 500 meters underground in the Spark base command room, Lin Yuan was holding a cup of coffee, seemingly at ease as he watched the dozens of surveillance subscreens before him. The screens showed various angles of the rift entrance, everything appearing calm, with only a few mechanical spiders tirelessly hauling rubble. Boss, are those big shots really coming? Mad Dog crouched beside the command console, gripping a newly system-enhanced assault rifle tightly. Though he was ready to fight to the death, the deep-seated fear of Zhao Heavy Industries still made him tremble uncontrollably. They're already here. Lin Yuan took a sip of his coffee, his tone as flat, as if announcing a package had arrived. Mad Dog's eyes widened as he stared at the monitors. But there's nothing on the radar. Not even a ghost on the... That's why they're the regulars, and you're the rabble. Lin Yuan set down his cup, tapping the console to zoom in on one surveillance feed. Look closely at the bottom left of this screen. The dust on that rock. Mad Dog leaned in and stared for a long time, seeing nothing but dust. The drift pattern of this dust repeats every 15 seconds, Lin Yuan said coldly. Our surveillance feed has been hijacked. What you're seeing now is a recording they want you to see. In the real feed, they've probably already crept right under our nose. A cold sweat broke out on Mad Dog's forehead. If not for the boss, they might have died without even knowing it. Then we opened fire. Mad Dog urged. No rush. Lin Yuan's eyes gleamed with a hunter's light. The most fun part of hide and seek isn't catching the other person instantly, it's watching them think they're hiding well while stepping right into a trap. Lin Yuan turned to look at the 5 silent waiting T-800 sentry robots behind him. System cut all external active radar signals. Put the base into blind spot mode. Divert all energy to the internal defense network. Mad Dog, tell everyone to fall back to the second line of defense. Leave the outer entrance for them. At the rift entrance, 6 soldiers shimmering like transparent ripples landed silently on the ground. Ghost glanced at the data terminal on his wrist and gestured triumphantly. Done. Their surveillance system is in a loop now, and I've implanted a spoofing program into the fire control radars of those 2 turrets. We could dance in front of them now, and they wouldn't fire. Nice work. Fong drew the high-frequency vibration combat blade from his back. Move out. Pairs fast advance. Remember, don't damage that Lin Yuan's brain. That's the hard drive we need to retrieve. 6 nearly invisible figures glided past the 2 expensive Gauss turrets like specters. As expected, the turrets remained inert, still pointing blankly into the distance. TCH. A team member casually stuck a micro-magnetic mine on the base of a turret. Just to be safe, let's take out the watchdogs first. Boom. 2 muffled explosions. The two gate guardians that Lin Yuan had spent a fortune building suppressed by electronic warfare were blown into heaps of scrap metal without firing a single shot. Seeing this mad dog lurking in the shadows felt his heart bleed. Those were 20mm Gauss cannons. Gone just like that. But Lin Yuan's voice came through the bone conduction earpiece, still eerily calm. Don't grieve. Out with the old, in with the new. Let them in. The cleaners' squad advanced unhindered. They passed the wreckage of the destroyed Black Snake gang convoy, and the deep anti-tank trench easily crossed with the exoskeleton's jet-assisted jump. Everything was eerily smooth. Captain, something's off. A scout spoke up on the comm channel midway through the advance. It's too quiet here. According to thermal imaging, there are massive heat sources deep underground. Dozens of people. So why no defenses? Maybe they've shit their pants and are hiding under their covers, another team member mocked. After all, he's just an exiled student. What tactical sense could he have? Fong, though also finding it too easy, had absolute confidence in his gear. A 4th-gen exoskeleton with optical camouflage was an invincible combo in this backward mine. Stay alert. Could be a bluff. Keep pushing. Finally, they reached the end of the cavern. The silver-white base door was shut tight, the surrounding plaza deathly. Only a few emergency lights cast a dim yellow glow, projecting huge shadows on the rock walls, making the scene eerily sinister. We're here. Fong made a tactical hand signal. Breaching team, prepare to breach. Sniper, take the high ground. Everyone else ready, flashbangs and stun grenades. Just as two team members were placing shaped charges on the base door, the tightly sealed portal suddenly let out a hiss of depressurization. Then slowly it slid open on its own. Beyond the door was not the panicked crowd or cluttered corridor they had. Instead, there was only pitch-black darkness. An impenetrable darkness. What's this? An invitation to walk into the trap. Fong frowned, his unease reaching its peak. Suddenly a light flicked on in the darkness. It was a single spotlight at the center of the hall. Beneath its beam, Lin Yuan sat by a simple folding table, idly playing with a black chess piece. He wore no exoskeleton, only a thin shirt, making him look frail and harmless. Good evening, esteemed members of Zhao Heavy Industries. Lin Yuan looked up, his gaze locking precisely onto the optically invisible Fong, a slight smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Since you're here, why hide in the shadows? Your stealth suits are quite glaring to my eyes. Fang's heart pounded with shock. How could he see them? This was military-grade optical camouflage. Before he could order an attack, Lin Yuan gently pressed the chess piece onto the table. Click. Welcome to hell. With that crisp sound of a stone being placed, the entire underground cavern seemed to come alive in an instant. A sharp zzz echoed as the once dim hall was suddenly illuminated by countless high-power searchlights, turning the darkness into blinding daylight. The intense glare instantly blinded the members of the cleaner squad who had been wearing night vision goggles, their vision flooded with a sea of white. Oh, my eyes. Flashbang. Take cover. The comm channel erupted into chaos. Ghost. What about the jamming? Why is the lighting system still operational? Viper bellowed with his eyes shut, relying on his exoskeleton's auxiliary system to roll sideways in search of cover. I don't know. My virus has been countered. Ghost screamed in terror. A more advanced AI has taken over the system. Damn it, my terminal is overheating. It's hacking my exoskeleton in reverse. In that moment of chaos, from the darkness behind Lin Yuan came the heavy metallic sound of footsteps striking the ground. Thud, thud, thud. The sound was unhurried, yet carried a suffocating pressure. 5 towering black figures emerged from the shadows behind Lin Yuan. They lacked human skin, their bodies composed only of cold alloy skeletons. The crimson single-eye electronic sensors on their heads flickered with a chilling red glow under the harsh light. T-800 Sentinel robots, mass-produced model. What the hell are those? Robots. Viper, his vision just beginning to recover, saw these 5 steel behemoths, and his pupils contracted sharply. There was nothing about these in the intel. How could that student have built combat units of this level? Open fire. Free fire. Take out Lin Yuan first. Viper roared. The 6 Special Forces soldiers simultaneously raised their electromagnetic assault rifles, unleashing a torrent of ammunition at Lin Yuan's position. Yet the moment they pulled the triggers, the 5 T-800s moved in unison. They didn't dodge. Instead, they stepped forward in perfect synchronization, forming a barrier before Lin Yuan. Clang. Clang. The dense hail of bullets struck the T-800's thick alloy armor, sending sparks flying, but they couldn't penetrate the specially reinforced steel plates that had undergone molecular restructuring. Is this your firepower? Somewhat disappointing. Lin Yuan's voice came from behind the steel wall of robots, tinged with a hint of laziness. Courtesy demands reciprocity. Sentinels, clear them out. The right arms of the 5 robots rose simultaneously. They were 5 20mm rotary cannons. For infantry, this was an absolute nightmare. Such weapons were typically mounted on armored vehicles or attack aircraft, but now they were gripped in the hands of these steel monsters. Vroom. The sound of motor preheating filled the air. Run. Get down. Scatter. Viper felt his scalp tingle. He didn't even bother with his teammates activating his exoskeleton's thrusters to dive behind a nearby rock. The next second the storm descended. Rat-a-tat-a-tat. The 5 cannons roared in unison, tongues of fire spitting over a meter long. The dense hail of 20 mm tungsten core armor-piercing rounds swept through the hall's entrance like the scythe of death. There was no such thing as cover. A soldier hiding behind a ballistic shield was torn to shreds along with his shield in an instant. The blood mist that burst forth was instantly vaporized by the heat. Another soldier attempting to leap and evade was struck midair by 3 shells simultaneously. His body disintegrated like a ragdoll, limbs flying everywhere. No, save me. Oh. The screams were drowned out by the thunderous gunfire. Zhao Heavy Industries' pride, the 4th-generation exoskeleton, was as fragile as paper toys against such absolute caliber and kinetic energy. After just 5 seconds of strafing, only Viper and the electronic warfare expert Ghost, who had taken cover in a dead angle, remained of the 6-man squad. The other 4 had been reduced to shredded flesh on the ground. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Viper panted heavily, hiding behind a massive granite boulder. The rock was being chipped away by the cannon fire debris flying, and it clearly wouldn't hold much longer. Ghost, where's your EMP bomb? Throw it. Paralyze those robots. I'm throwing it. Ghost tremblingly pulled a blue sphere from his belt and hurled it desperately toward the T-800 formation. Boom. A blue electromagnetic pulse wave radiated outward. Viper's heart leaped with hope. This was a military-grade EMP, enough to paralyze all civilian electronics within 50 meters. But as the blue light faded, the 5 T-800s merely flickered their indicator lights, paused for half a second, then nonchalantly rotated their gun barrels again. System notification: low-level electromagnetic interference detected. T9 relic technology, shield neutralized 90 of the impact. System reboot complete. It didn't work. How is that possible? Ghost slumped to the ground in despair. At that moment, Lin Yuan, who had remained still, spoke again. Mad Dog, it's your turn. Don't let our guests think we're poor hosts. With Lin Yuan's command, over 20 heads suddenly emerged from the shadows above the cavern. They were Mad Dog and the slaves, long since ambushed on the rocky pathways. They held no high-tech weapons, only Lin Yuan's specially crafted Molotov cocktails, bottles filled with high-energy fuel, and simple explosive packs. Die, you arrogant bastards. Mad Dog, his eyes bloodshot, hurled his Molotov cocktail down with all his crackling. Dozens of Molotov cocktails rained down like a storm. Flames instantly engulfed the area where Viper and Ghost were hiding. This fuel wasn't ordinary gasoline. It was a special blend with thickeners and oxidizers. Once it stuck, it would burn fiercely, even in a vacuum, impossible to extinguish. Ghost was consumed by the flames. He rolled frantically on the ground, only fueling the fire. His exoskeleton's thermal control system instantly overloaded and alarmed, and he was roasted alive in this infernal hell. Viper, being the captain, activated his exoskeleton's emergency thrusters the moment the flames fell, launching himself like a cannonball out of the sea of fire. But he was in a wretched state now. The optical camouflage system was completely destroyed, his armor covered in scorch marks, and half the armor on his left arm had been scraped off by the cannon fire. He rolled upon landing, kneeling on one knee, staring intently at the young man still sitting at the table sipping coffee. Rage, shame, and fear intertwined, nearly driving him mad. An elite special forces squad had been butchered like chickens by a student leading a group of slaves. Lin Yuan. Viper let out a beastly roar. Do you think you've won? You have no idea what you've provoked. I am a first-level executive of Zhao Heavy Industries. My exoskeleton is loaded with the Berserker system. Even if I die today, I'll take you with me. Crack. Viper yanked off the limiter around his neck. The exoskeleton on his body suddenly erupted with blinding red light, and the engine behind him let out an overloaded screech. Warning. High-energy reaction detected. Enemy unit is removing power limiters. Viper's eyes were bloodshot, his muscles bulging. He discarded his rifle and drew the meter-long monomolecular vibration combat blade from his back. At that moment, his speed and power had tripled. Die. The rock beneath Viper's feet shattered as he turned into a red blur, evading the bulky T-800s and lunging straight at Lin Yuan behind them. This was a decapitation strike. Kill Lin Yuan, and these robots would stop. 50 meters. 30 meters. 10 meters. Lin Yuan remained seated, not even rising. He merely watched the crimson death hurtling toward him and let out a soft sigh. Ignorance is the greatest weakness. This might have been the fastest charge of Poison Fang's life. The rage system squeezed every ounce of potential from his body, and the hydraulic rods of his exoskeleton emitted a mournful groan as if on the verge of shattering. At this moment, he even had the confidence to slice through the armor of a light tank with a single stroke. The young man's face was right before him. He could even see his own ferocious visage reflected in Lin Yuan's eyes. It's over. The high-frequency vibrating blade in Poison Fang's hand howled with the promise of death as it viciously arced toward Lin Yuan's neck. Yet just as the blade was less than half a meter from Lin Yuan, Lin Yuan's finger gently tapped the black chess piece on the table, the very psychic resonance crystal retrieved from the T9 ruins. Kneel. Lin Yuan parted his lips and uttered 2 words. Whoosh. Without warning, a visible transparent ripple erupted instantaneously with Lin Yuan at its center. This was not a shockwave nor telekinesis. It was a gravity field. T9 ruins technology, localized gravity amplification, field low power version. Crack. A crisp sound of bone fracturing echoed. Poison Fong, still mid-leap, suddenly felt as if a mountain had slammed into him with tremendous force. Within this circle 5 meters in diameter, gravity, originally 1/6 of Earth's moon, instantly surged to 20 times that of Earth's. What did that mean? The exoskeleton, which weighed several hundred kilograms, now weighed several tons. His own body weight had also become 2 tons. Bang! Poison Fong was slammed onto the ground as if by an invisible giant hand. The hard granite floor instantly cracked into a human-shaped depression with debris flying everywhere. The high-frequency vibrating blade slipped from his grasp and embedded itself in the floor by Lin Yuan's foot, its blade still trembling violently. Puffed. Poison Fong spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with fragments of his internal organs. His exoskeleton groaned under the unbearable strain, the metal at the joints beginning to twist and deform. Had it not been for the exoskeleton bearing most of the pressure, he would have been crushed into a meat patty. This? What sorcery is this? Poison Fong lay on the ground, unable to move. His face was pressed against the rough ground, his eyes bulging from blood congestion as he stared at the pair of white sneakers so close before him. Lin Yuan slowly stood up, coffee cup in hand, looking down at the once arrogant Special Forces captain. No, this is science. Lin Yuan crouched down, extending a finger to gently tap Poison Fang's helmet, which was flashing red. The reverse application of anti-gravity technology. The engine technology that Zhao Industries has been dreaming of has been right under your feet all along. Pity you only know how to use it to kill while I use it to build houses, and swat a few flies. Poison Fong let out a desperate roar, trying to struggle to his feet, but under 20 times gravity, he was like a fly stuck to tape. The harder he struggled, the faster his bones broke. Lin Yuan stood up and waved his hand. The terrifying pressure vanished instantly. Poison Fong gasped for air, greedily breathing in the atmosphere. But he no longer had the strength to stand. Multiple bones throughout his body were shattered and his exoskeleton was completely wrecked. Why didn't you kill me? Poison Fang's voice was hoarse, his eyes full of despair. Because you need to deliver a message. Lin Yuan turned and walked toward the nearby T-800 robot. Mad Dog, clean up the battlefield. Throw the dead into the septic tank for fertilizer, strip the gear off all of them. For this one who's still alive, remove his exoskeleton, break his limbs, and leave him with just a breath of life. Mad Dog rushed forward with a sinister grin, leading his men. You got it, boss. That's my specialty. Poison Fong, now reduced to a state resembling a battered ragdoll, was thrown onto a modified autonomous or hauler. The vehicle was set to autopilot its destination, the nearest public communications relay. Lin Yuan stood by the vehicle holding a recording chip, which he slipped into Poison Fang's still bleeding pocket. Go back and tell Li Yaoan. Lin Yuan leaned close to Poison Fang's ear, his tone gentle, as if greeting an old friend. This recording is my return gift to her. Tell her the 7th mining zone is now a restricted area. If she wants that key, if she wants that ruin, let her come for it herself. Don't send this kind of trash to die anymore. They're just a waste of my bullets. Also tell her. Lin Yuan paused, a chilling glint flashing in his eyes. Everything she took from me back, then he'll take back tenfold, 100-fold. Tell her to keep her neck clean because he'll personally tear down the Zhao Industries building. Now get lost. Lin Yuan patted the vehicle's door. The hauler slowly started carrying Poison Fong, now a broken wreck of a man, into the pitch-black wilderness. Watching the vehicle fade into the distance, Mad Dog approached, a hint of concern in his voice. Boss, letting him go. Won't that cause trouble? What if Zhao Industries sends a large force to bomb us? Lin Yuan turned and looked at the base behind him, unwavering amidst the flames of battle constantly upgrading. That's exactly what I want them to do. Lin Yuan sneered. If we don't hurt them, don't scare them, they'll always be buzzing around like flies. Besides, he touched the black crystal in his pocket. During the fight, he had noticed that the crystal had absorbed the energy fluctuations from that rage system, unlocking a new set of coordinates. That was the next node of the T9 ruins. Or rather, it was a military factory. And when they come next time, we might be facing more than just these toys. Lin Yuan looked toward the factory, working overtime to produce T-800 units. Mad Dog passed the word. Cancel the potato harvest feast. Change it to a victory celebration. After the meal, everyone works overtime. We're going to expand. Dig deeper. Before the next attack arrives, I want to build a real interstellar fleet. Ding. Congratulations, host, on completing the epic battle invasion and counterattack. Battle loss ratio 0.6, annihilated elite enemy forces. Evaluation perfect domination. You have qualified to become a regional hegemon. Reward settlement in progress. Energy points gained 5,000. Special blueprints obtained magnetic rail cannon battle vehicle exoskeleton production line holographic stealth field generator. New feature unlocked interstellar trade terminal inactive. Lin Yuan gazed at the rows of golden rewards, the smile on his lips growing deeper. Zhao Industries, thank you for the delivery. This is only the beginning. The smoke of battle had dissipated, but the atmosphere within Starfire Base was even more fervent than during the fight. 1, 2, 3. Heave. Under Mad Dog's rhythmic chants, dozens of burly men, each wearing a collar, worked together to push the colossal wreckage of the behemoth mining vehicle into the designated dismantling zone. Though every man was drenched in sweat, their faces beamed with a strange sense of bliss. The reason was simple. Just moments ago, the boss had kept his promise. Each person received a steaming baked potato sprinkled with synthetic salt crystals. That soft, fluffy texture, the subtle sweetness of carbohydrates dissolving on their tongues, was an unparalleled delicacy to these thugs who had subsisted on chemical paste for half their lives on the far side of the moon. Driven by the prospect of more food in the next meal, they were now bursting with energy, willing to sell their very souls to Lin Yuan. At that moment, Lin Yuan sat alone in the command room's inner sanctum, a golden interface he had never seen before floating before him. This was a new feature unlocked after completing an epic campaign. The Interstellar Trade Terminal Basic. On this resource-starved moon, relying solely on mining and scavenging will only get me so far. Lin Yuan mused, his eyes gleaming with calculation. To take a shortcut and challenge the massive supply chain behind Zhao Heavy Industries, I need to find alternative supply channels. Connecting to the Pan-Universal Commercial Network. Calibrating signal. Locking dimensional anchor. Connect. Welcome Dimensional Merchant TX 9527. Current credits 0. The interface flickered, transforming into a trading list resembling a dark web black market. The scrolling merchandise dazzled Lin Yuan, making him acutely aware of humanity's insignificance. For sale, abandoned stellar-class starship engine requires self-repair. Price 5,000,000 credits. Seller Mechanicus Scavenger. Wanted high-purity liquid soul. Any quantity welcome. Buyer Abyssal. For sale, second-hand exoskeleton armor, minor damage bloodstains. Bulk discounts available. Seller Wasteland Arms Dealer. Lin Yuan swallowed hard. Any single item here could throw the Earth Federation into a frenzy. The problem was he couldn't afford any of it. His credits were 0, and even the cheapest basic energy block cost 10 points. System, what can I sell? Lin Yuan asked. Scanning host's inventory. Recommended item 1, Gauss machine gun turret, obsolete technology. Estimated value 5 credits. Recommended item 2, black crystal T9 key. Estimated value 1,000 credits. Warning, selling will forfeit control of the ruin. Recommended item 3, T1 type lunar improved potato, contains trace psionic radiation. Estimated value. Potatoes. Lin Yuan blinked in surprise. He had expected only weapons to be sellable, but these freshly harvested potatoes were on the list too, with an appraisal value of question marks. On a whim, he picked a raw potato from a nearby plate, one he hadn't yet eaten, and placed it on the system, scanning. Identifying. Item, plant tuber rich in carbohydrates. Special property, grown above the T9 ruin, it has absorbed faint ancient psionic fluctuations. Long-term consumption can slowly repair genetic defects and enhance mental fortitude. Quality rating, rare for dimensions lacking organic matter or suffering genetic contamination. It's actually a spirit plant. Lin Yuan was overjoyed. It turned out the T9 ruin didn't just provide technology, even the soil above it was enriched. He immediately posted a sale on the trading terminal for sale, special psionic potato. Effects, repairs genes, replenishes high-purity bioenergy. Price, auction mode. Within 10 seconds of posting, beep, beep, beep. The terminal erupted with alerts, private messages flooding in instantly. Wasteland mutant boss. Is this a natural plant? Radiation-free. He'll pay 50 credits. My son is dying from genetic collapse, I beg you. Silicon-based life form collector. An interesting carbon-based biofuel. I don't consume it, but it looks 100 credits. I want it as a specimen. Elven wanderer, this aura. Though faint, it is indeed a power akin to the world tree. I offer 200 credits. Or trade for a bottle of basic life water. Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed. This was the power of information asymmetry. To Earthlings, it was just an oversized potato, but in dimensions with harsh environments or skewed tech trees, it was a life-saving miracle. The elf one deal. Lin Yuan decisively chose the trade. While credits were valuable, he needed something to directly boost his own strength. His body physique 4.5 was far too weak a burden to his magnificent gear. Trade confirmed. Lost T1 potato X1. Gained basic life water X1, 10 milliliters. A flash of light. The potato vanished, replaced by an exquisite crystal vial containing an emerald liquid that emitted a refreshing, soothing fragrance. Item, basic life water, diluted effect produced in the high elf dimension. Consuming it can greatly cleanse physical impurities, repair internal injuries, and enhance cellular activity. It is the perfect catalyst for genetic evolution. Without a moment's hesitation, Lin Yuan uncorked the vial and drank it down. Gulp. The next second. Ugh. Lin Yuan grunted, grabbing the edge of the table. Instead of a gentle, soothing sensation, a violent torrent of heat exploded in his stomach, surging through his blood vessels to every limb. Every cell felt torn apart, only to be instantly reassembled. The agony was akin to being thrown into a meat grinder. Warning. Detecting host genetic sequence undergoing restructuring. Bone density increasing. Muscle fibers strengthening. Neural response speed accelerating. Lin Yuan was drenched in sweat, a layer of black, oily sludge oozing from his skin. Toxins and radiation residues accumulated over years. This excruciating pain lasted a full 10 minutes. When Lin Yuan opened his eyes again, the world felt different. His vision was incredibly sharp, able to discern even the dust motes floating in the air. He clenched his fist, his knuckles cracking like popping beans, and a surge of unprecedented power flooded his body. He pulled up his attribute panel. Host Lin Yuan, physique 12. 0 human limit is 10, strength 11. 5 agility 13. 0 spirit 15. 0 evaluation. Congratulations, you have escaped the ranks of the weakling and officially stepped into the threshold of neo-humanity. You can now kill an ox with one punch, provided you aren't wearing an exoskeleton. Excellent stuff. Lin Yuan tightened his fist, feeling the surging power within. 1 potato for an evolution. That's a deal well made. He glanced towards the plantation. Hundreds of potato seedlings were thriving there. In his eyes, they were no longer mere potatoes, but countless credits, a future arsenal, and a ticket to the seed system. Classify all remaining potatoes as strategic materials. Aside from those used as seeds, and rewards, the rest are for trade. Lin Yuan settled back into the command chair, his eyes blazing with ambition. With this interstellar trade terminal, he was no longer a lone ghost stranded on the far side of the moon. He was a middleman connecting myriad dimensions. Zhao Heavy Industries. The Federation government. Wait until I buy a star-destroying vessel from another dimension. I hope your expressions will be amusing. Just then, Mad Dog's voice crackled through the communicator. Boss, you gotta see this. While clearing the wreckage of Venom's exoskeleton, we found an encrypted communicator. It's been blinking. Lin Yuan's eyes turned cold. Bring it here. On the front side of the moon, New Shanghai City. This city, built beneath a vast dome, is perpetually illuminated. Anti-gravity floating vehicles weave between skyscrapers, while a massive holographic billboard displays the slogan Zhao's Heavy Industry, crafting the future for you. Zhao Group, building top-floor conference room. The decor here is extravagantly luxurious, with natural marble from Earth covering the floor and original oil paintings hanging on the walls. However, at this moment, the air in the conference room is stifling. Smash! A delicate crystal goblet is violently thrown to the ground, red wine splattering like blood. Li Yalan stands before a huge floor-to-ceiling window, her chest heaving. Her usually frosty face is twisted with extreme anger. Behind her, a massive holographic screen freezes on a face. It is the face of Lin Yuan. This is a video Lin Yuan recorded before the poisonous fangs were returned. In the video, the young man's eyes are calm and mocking, as if he is looking at an ant. Tell Li Yalan, clean your neck. I will personally dismantle Zhao's Heavy Industries building. This sentence echoes in Li Yalan's mind like a magical sound, ringing over a dozen times. Arrogant. Simply excessively arrogant. Li Yalan turns around, her hands braced on the conference table, her gaze slicing through the few executives present. A discarded pawn that I tossed aside like garbage not only killed my black glove and annihilated my elite team, but now dares to openly threaten me. At the conference table, an intelligence officer wipes the cold sweat from his forehead and speaks tremulously. Li. President Li, based on the data analysis brought back by the poisoned Fong, the situation is not optimistic. The technology Lin Yuan possesses far exceeds our expectations. Those black humanoid robots have armor strength surpassing the current main battle tanks of the Federation. And the gravity suppression method he used at the end, that is a theoretical anti-gravity weapon. Are you saying he really activated that T9 relic? Li Yalan takes a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Anger won't solve the problem, but profit can. 100% certain. The intelligence officer pulls up a data chart. The frequency of that gravity wave is completely consistent with the data we excavated from the Martian relics. That Lin Yuan is now holding a key to divine-level technology. A whispering murmur rises in the conference. The expressions of the executives change. From initial anger, they transform into greed. Although Zhao's Heavy Industry is a giant on the moon, it has always been suppressed by the Federation military due to being choked by core engine technology. If we can acquire the anti-gravity technology from that relic, Zhao's will become the true ruler of the solar system. It must be obtained. Li Yalan's gaze instantly turns cold and rational. At all costs. But President Li, the conventional forces might not suffice. The security officer interjects that underground base is easy to defend, but hard to attack, especially with that terrifying machine gun tower. Unless we mobilize the fleet for orbital bombardment, but using large-scale weapons on the far side of the moon would be impossible to conceal from the Federation Congress. Then we won't use conventional forces. Lin Yuan walks to the holographic map and jabs her finger hard at the location of the 7th mining area. Since he is the local snake, we will find an even more venomous snake to bite him to death. She turns around and looks into the dark corner behind her shadow. Are those people free recently? From the corner, a figure wrapped in a black trench coat steps out, his voice hoarse. Are you referring to the Wolfpack mercenary group? They are wanted criminals by the Federation, and among them are 3 ability awakeners. The price for getting them to take action isn't cheap. Money is not an issue. Lin Yuan replies coldly, tell the Wolfpack, 50 million Federation dollars. I want only 2 things: Lin Yuan's head and that key. As for the rest, they can kill however they want, even wiping out the entire 7th mining area. I wouldn't care. Additionally, a glint of venom flashes in Lin Yuan's eyes. Notify the logistics department to cut off all supply lines to the 7th mining area. No oxygen, water, food, or energy sticks. Not a single needle is to be allowed in. I want to trap him in that rat hole. Understood, Your Majesty. The shadow slightly bows and disappears into the darkness. Lin Yuan pours herself another glass of wine, gazing out at the bustling city. Lin Yuan, do you think a little adventure can turn the tide? This world, after all, is a world of capital. I will make you understand what despair truly means. At the same moment, in New Shanghai City, the Federation Governor's office. In an office filled with the scent of books, an elderly man with graying hair is holding a report, his brow furrowed. He is the current governor of the moon Guobang, the 7th mining area. High-energy reactions. Gravity anomalies. Guobang takes off his glasses and rubs his temples. This is already the 3rd report this week. What on earth has happened in that abandoned mine? The young secretary standing opposite him whispers, Governor, intelligence shows that Zhao's heavy industries private army has been frequently active over there. Moreover, I heard that one of their elite teams has gone missing there. Zhao's heavy industry. Guobang snorts coldly. Those profit-driven merchants have noses keener than dogs. There must be something valuable there. After pondering for a moment, he gives the order, have the Federal Investigation Bureau, FIB, send an agent to take a look. Remember, be discreet. If ancient relics are truly discovered, Zhao's must not be allowed to monopolize them. They belong to all humanity. No, they belong to the federal government. Yes, a storm is rapidly gathering centered around Lin Yuan. And at the eye of the storm, Lin Yuan is currently standing at the deepest part of the underground cave with his newly formed mechanical legion, beneath the 7th mining zone at a depth of 800 meters. The temperature had risen to 30 degrees Celsius, and the air was thick with the pungent odor of sulfur. Lin Yuan, clad in his newly repaired and upgraded exoskeleton, carried a modified high-caliber energy rifle. Behind him stood 5 T-800 sentry robots and the loyal worker B-1 mechanical arm. According to the new coordinates unlocked by the crystal, it's behind this wall. Lin Yuan gazed at the massive, seemingly natural black obsidian rock face before him. But through his analytical eye, the data displayed for this rock face was high-strength camouflage gate. The crystal in Black Serpent's hands was merely the key to open the door. The data I downloaded from the T9 ruins is what unlocks the core area. Lin Yuan stepped forward and pressed his palm against the rock face. The system within him responded instantly, detecting T9 authorization. Performing handshake protocol. Authentication successful. Welcome back, Commander. Rumble. This tremor was even more violent than the last. The entire underground space quaked and dust rained down. The colossal rock face, 50 meters high, began to collapse inward, revealing an immense underground cave. When the beam of the searchlight pierced the cavern, Lin Yuan, despite his mental preparation, was still so stunned by the sight that he held his breath. This was a gigantic underground dock several kilometers long. The ceiling was embedded with luminous crystals that simulated a starry sky. And in the center of the dock, suspended by massive anti-gravity supports, hovered a warship. It was pitch black, its streamlined hull exuding an aggressive aura over 300 meters in length. Though the hull was coated in the dust of ages and bore several visible meteorite impact craters, the domineering spirit of a former conqueror of the stars still radiated from it. System alert: precursor civilization artifact detected. Vessel named Deep Space Destroyer Skirt. Status: severely damaged, power core extinguished, weapon systems offline, hull structural integrity 65. Description: this is one of humanity's last legacies in this universe. It was once the pride of the Federation fleet until the calamity struck. A destroyer. Lin Yuan's voice trembled slightly. In the current naval hierarchy of the Earth Federation, commanding a destroyer required at least the rank of Rear Admiral. And now this sleeping Leviathan lay quietly in his backyard, waiting for him to awaken it. With this, Zhao Heavy Industries, the Jackal Mercenary Corps. One shot, and they'd be reduced to slag. Suppressing his ecstasy, Lin Yuan waved his hand and ordered, move in. Take command. He led his robot squad across the connecting bridge towards the ship's side airlock. The airlock door groaned open under the system's decryption, emitting a screech of grinding metal. However, the moment Lin Yuan stepped into the ship's corridor, ZZZT, his exoskeleton radar suddenly blared a piercing alarm. Warning. Detecting numerous non-biological activity signals. Signal source ship's internal ventilation ducts. Type analysis autonomous defense system. No, it's a parasitic entity. Clack, clack, clack. Dense metallic clicking echoed from all directions. Lin Yuan snapped his head up just as the ventilation grill above him burst open. Countless creatures, each the size of a fist and resembling metallic beetles, poured out like a tidal wave. They possessed razor-sharp mandibles, crimson compound eyes, and bodies formed from some kind of liquid metal. Monster name Void Devourer. Metal parasite description: they feed on metal, but can also consume organic matter. They are the guardians of this ship, dormant for years, and the very cause of its paralysis. Damn. Lin Yuan instantly raised his rifle. Sentinels, open fire. Protect me. Scree. The swarm let out a spine-chilling shriek and descended upon the intruders like a black cloud. The 5 T-800 robots immediately formed a circular defensive line, their autocannons spitting tongues of fire. 20mm shells detonated in the narrow corridor, splattering the metal beetles with ichor. But there were far too many bugs. They defied gravity, crawling frantically across the walls and ceiling. A few beetles broke through the firing line, latching onto a T-800. Their sharp mandibles instantly pierced its alloy armor, beginning to gnaw at the internal wiring. Zzz. The T-800 froze, sparks flying from its arm. Worker B1, use the flamethrower. Lin Yuan roared. The Worker B arm, trailing behind, instantly switched to a high-temperature plasma torch. Whoosh! A blue flame swept through the corridor. Though these metal bugs were impervious to bullets, they instantly melted into molten slag under the 1,000 soft degrees heat. Charge for the bridge. Once we control the central computer, we can activate the ship's internal defense system to purge them. Lin Yuan fired precise shots while directing his team's advance. It was a brutal close-quarters battle within the steel behemoth. Stepping over charred bug carcasses and metallic sludge, Lin Yuan inched his way towards the bridge. His exoskeleton was splattered with scorched insects, his breathing was ragged, but his eyes burned ever brighter. This was not merely an expedition, it was a conquest. Like taming a wild stallion, one must first endure its bucking. Finally, at the cost of one scrap T-800, Lin Yuan reached the bridge door. Open. He pressed his palm against the door control, the system straining to crack it. Beep. Authorization confirmed. Bridge opening. The heavy blast door slid open. The spacious bridge lay before him, dusty, but still exuding its form, and in the captain's chair sat a skeleton clad in an ancient uniform. In its hand it tightly clutched a red activation. Lin Yuan stepped forward and saluted the unknown captain. Senior, rest now. I will take the ship forward. He gently took the key and inserted it into the main console. Whoom! The entire warship emitted a low, resonant hum, as if a sleeping heart had begun to beat anew. Lights on the bridge flickered on one by one, and countless holographic screens materialized. Scourge restart successful. Power system offline, requires external power source. Defense system online. Internal parasitic infection detected. Initiating automatic sterilization program. A potent purging gas and electrical current suddenly erupted within the ship's corridors. The frenzied swarm in the hallways let out a unified scream before being reduced to ash by the high voltage. Lin Yuan stood before the captain's chair, observing the ship's status on the holographic displays and the vast underground dock outside. A surge of ambition to command the stars swelled within him. Power offline. Lin Yuan glanced at the mountain of high-energy helium-3 reserves in his system inventory and smiled. Perfect timing. I have a mine at home. System begin repairs on the Scourge. I'm going to make this ship the greatest nightmare Zhao Heavy Industries has ever known. Time October 25, 2100. Location 800 meters underground in the 7th mine docking area of the disaster-class destroyer. In the immense underground dock, the air was thick with the stale scent of ozone and the acrid smell of lubricating oil. Lin Yuan floated in midair. He was wearing an exoskeleton and using the lift platform of mechanical B-No. One positioned beside the starboard side of the disaster-class destroyer. Before him was a fearsome-looking secondary turret reminiscent of a hedgehog. This was not an ordinary main gun, but a phalanx close-in defense gun system, space-enhanced version designed to intercept missiles and engage in close combat. Damn it, these madmen from the former civilization set the firing rate of this thing too high, causing all the ammunition chain motors to burn out. Lin Yuan, covered in grease, was using material reconstruction to repair the intricate drive gears. Repairing HBJ-12 Type 10,000 rounds close-in gun modified version. Energy consumption 150. Progress 98, 99. Repair complete. Click. With the final gear meshing into place, the steel behemoth with 11 barrels let out a low rumbling hum. The muzzle rotated slightly, emanating a chilling glint. Although the main gun cannot be repaired with this Closian gun firing at 110 rounds per minute, let's see who dares to charge in. Lin Yuan wiped the sweat from his forehead, a satisfied smile creeping onto his lips. The reason he was so eager to repair this was that the sense of being watched had grown increasingly intense. Boss! The frantic voice of Mad Dog crackled through the communicator. The surveillance of the first line of defense has gone completely dark. And this time it wasn't a hijacking, it was cut off. Lin Yuan's expression hardened. Cut off? What about the specific footage? The last image transmitted back was a mass of sand. No, it was flowing sand that swallowed the camera. Mad Dog's voice was trembling. Lin Yuan immediately jumped down from the lift platform. System, take over external perception. Activate the backup vibration sensors. On the holographic screen, the originally clear passage surveillance turned into static. And on the vibration imaging map, 3 high-energy red dots were rapidly breaching the outer defenses. The reason it was astonishing was that they were not following the normal passage. They were phasing through walls. At the entrance of the 7th mine, the concrete barricades meant to block vehicles had now turned into a pool of flowing sludge. 3 figures clad in custom black trench coats, without exoskeletons, strolled leisurely through the wreckage. The leader was a burly man with a bald head and a neck tattooed with a ring of fangs. He was the deputy leader of the Wolf Pack mercenary group, codenamed Butcher. To his left was a small man playing with a few coins, codenamed Magnet. To his right was a woman with skin of a bizarre gray-brown hue, codenamed Quicksand. Is this the place where that waste poison Fong met his end? Butcher crushed a still dormant claymore mine underfoot, his face full of disdain. The people from Zhao Corporation are indeed all sheltered flowers. I could dismantle traps of this level when I was 3. Don't be careless. The woman Quicksand extended her hand and pressed against the nearby rock wall. An eerie scene unfolded. The hard granite under her hand surprisingly softened and flowed like tofu, then automatically parted to create a passage, avoiding all the landmines set up by Lin Yuan ahead. Something strange is happening underground. My earth sense tells me there are significant metal reactions deep down and a type of energy fluctuation that makes me uneasy. Metal reactions? The small man called Magnet chuckled, waving his hand casually. Buzz! Dozens of meters away, 2 mechanical spiders that had just poked their heads out to ambush were suddenly seized, as if by an invisible hand. Creak! As Magnet clenched his hand, the 2 titanium alloy mechanical spiders were instantly crushed into a ball of scrap metal, sparks flying as they fell to the ground. As long as it's metal, it's my toy. Magnet whistled, his eyes gleaming with greed. I heard that kid has quite a few high-tech gadgets. I hope his exoskeleton is sturdy enough not to be crushed in an instant. In the command room, Lin Yuan, who witnessed this scene through the backup probe, felt his pupils slightly constrict. Evolvers. Lin Yuan took a deep breath. He knew that this world had the existence of evolvers, the mutated products of humanity from long-term radiation and genetic modification. But he never expected that Zhao Corporation would invest so much to kill him. One who could control rock, one who could control metal restraining machines, and a brawny man with unknown physical strength. This is the perfect demolition crew. Lin Yuan sneered. Mad Dog. Everyone retreat. Move back to the dock. Do not fire, that would be suicide. Retreat. Boss, are we not holding the line? Mad Dog asked in terror. We cannot hold. Lin Yuan gazed at the man on the screen who had casually crushed the mechanical spiders. If it were ordinary special forces, the T-800 could still hold its ground. But against the metal control ability, all robots are merely food served to the enemy. The enemy could even turn the robots against themselves. Open all the isolation doors. Lin Yuan turned to look at the slumbering black warship behind him, his gaze turning icy. Since they enjoy playing with metal, I shall invite them to witness a true metal storm. Inside the underground, the trio of mercenaries advanced at an astonishing speed. The trenches, minefields, and automated machine gun towers that would typically give a regular army a headache were rendered useless before them. Quicksand was responsible for clearing the way, turning any obstacles into soil. Magnet handled the cleanup, instantly disassembling any mechanical units that dared to show themselves. Butcher was in charge of destruction. He simply reveled in the thrill of punching through blast doors. This is so boring. Magnet yawned. Is this Lin Yuan the one who scared Li Yalan into sleepless nights? Where's his resistance? Where's his robotic army? Why are they all retreating? That's fear. Butcher grinned, like sheep cornered by wolves. Let's go see what treasures are hidden in the depths of that rat's nest. They failed to notice that as they delved deeper, the passage widened and the surrounding walls transformed from natural rock into some ancient metallic glossed alloy panels. And that oppressive feeling as if being watched by a behemoth grew stronger. Location 800 meters underground before the Gate of Ruins T9. This was an underground space of suffocating vastness. The trio of mercenaries halted their steps. Before them lay an alloy gate already blasted open. Beyond the gate stretched a corridor leading into the abyss. Such a dense energy signature. Lucia's face grew grim. My ability is suppressed here. This metal, I can't control it. Sishi furrowed his brow as well. He tried to sense the surrounding walls only to find that the silver-white metal seemed alive, rejecting the intrusion of his magnetic field. Pre-civilization alloy. Looks like that woman Lin Yuan wasn't lying. There really is a great treasure here. Though he couldn't control the walls, Sishi remained confident. As long as that Lin Yuan wore a modern metal exoskeleton, he was as good as dead. Move it. Tofu led the charge, his muscles bulging as a metallic sheen spread across his skin. This was his ability, steel body, capable of withstanding rocket-propelled grenades. The three traversed the corridor and finally arrived at the colossal underground dock. As their eyes adjusted to the light, all three froze simultaneously. Even these seasoned interstellar mercenaries were struck speechless by the sight before them. A massive dome simulated the starry sky. Beneath that starry sky, a pitch-black warship 300 meters in length hovered silently in midair like a steel mountain range. Even scarred and powerless, the murderous aura of this war machine left the three tiny humans struggling. This is... Sis's voice turned dry. A destroyer. How can there be a destroyer here? Welcome to my dock. A young voice amplified by a speaker echoed through the empty dock. The three jerked their heads up. On a protruding platform along the warship's starboard side, Lin Yuan sat on a sofa he had somehow brought here. He wore no exoskeleton and even held a cup of steaming tea. Behind him stood the trembling Fungo and several T-800 robots in standby mode. Lin Yuan. Tofu snapped back to reality, his eyes blazing with greed. This ship. If we kill you, it's ours. With it, we can crown ourselves kings on Mars. Kill. Without further words, Tofu stomped the ground, shattering it, and launched himself like a cannonball toward Lin Yuan's platform. Lu Sha pressed his hands to the ground, conjuring countless rock spikes that formed a staircase to lift Tofu skyward. Sishi, clenching his fists, aimed at the T-800 robots behind Lin Yuan. Come here. Tear your master apart. But then the unexpected happened. The magnetic control that had never failed now felt like grasping a slippery eel. The T-800s remained utterly still, because Lin Yuan had long coated their surfaces with an anti-magnetic paint scraped from the warship. What a... Sishi was shocked. Is this all that ability users can do? Lin Yuan set down his teacup, a hint of disappointment in his eyes. I thought you'd have something new. Still the same old trick, twisting the laws of physics with mutated genes. He stood up, walked to the edge of the platform, and watched Tofu charging up the rock staircase with the two mages casting spells below. Do you know why I built this dock? Lin Yuan gently pressed a red button in his hand. Because some things, if not shown, always let flies think they can turn the world upside down. Buzz. On the warship's starboard side, the massive object Lin Yuan had just repaired and covered with a tarp suddenly shed its disguise. It was not a sniper rifle, nor a machine gun turret. It was a Closian weapon system, 5 meters tall with 11 thick barrels and its own independent radar fire control. As the pitch-black honeycomb-like muzzle aimed at Tofu charging midair, the invulnerable brute felt a tremor from the depths of his soul for the first time. Is this a naval gun? Tofu's pupils shrank to pinpricks. He was airborne with no leverage, forced to watch the deathly muzzle begin to rotate. Sishi, save me. Tofu let out a desperate roar. Below, Sishi had gone mad. He unleashed his strongest magnetic field with all his might, trying to deflect the turret's aim. Deflect, damn it. Blood streamed from Sis's nostrils. The turret did tremble slightly, but only for a moment, because the next second Lin Yuan's calm voice descended. Sir, the times have changed. Type 1130 CIWS, rate of fire 11000 rounds per minute. Tungsten core, armor-piercing rounds. Even a Gundam would be shredded to pieces. Open fire. BRRRT. That was not the sound of a gunshot. It was a continuous, terrifying, tearing sound like fabric being ripped apart. Because the rate of fire was so fast, the sound of each shell leaving the barrel merged into a single line, becoming a long, deafening roar like a chainsaw. A whip of fire 100 meters long spewed forth from the cannon's muzzle. This was not a metaphor, it was a true whip of flame. With a firing rate approaching 200 rounds per second, the tracer rounds coalesced into a dazzling pillar of light, lashing directly against the butcher, hovering in midair. Clang, 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 clang. The first second. The butcher's vaunted steel body indeed managed to block the first 10 bullets. Sparks flew from his skin, accompanied by the deafening clang of metal striking metal. But this was 200 rounds per second. The second. The butcher's ability shield overloaded and shattered. The 30mm tungsten core armor-piercing, discarding sabot rounds, space-grade reinforced, carried terrifying kinetic energy, drilling into his muscles, bones, and organs like a power drill. Thud, 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 thud. A series of dense, muffled sounds. The third second. There was no longer a butcher in the air. There was only an exploding cloud of blood mist and countless shattered chunks of flesh mixed with bone fragments utterly torn apart by the kinetic force raining down like a torrent. A powerful Brank physique enhancement ability, user facing a shipborne Closian weapon system, couldn't even last 3 seconds before being physically vaporized. No. Quicksand below let out a piercing scream. Without a second thought, she slammed her hands against the ground, trying to erect a thick stone wall to shield herself and Magnet. Rise. Stone wall defense. Rumbling, a 3-meter-thick granite wall instantly rose. Lin Yuan expressionlessly shifted his finger. The fire control radar locked onto the ground below. That terrifying whip of flame with the momentum to annihilate heaven and earth swept towards the ground. ZZZT boom. A 3-meter-thick granite wall. Before tungsten core armor-piercing rounds, it was more brittle than a biscuit. The fire whip swept across the stone wall, instantly disintegrated, pulverized, and exploded. Countless stone fragments turned into deadly shrapnel. Quicksand, hiding behind the wall, didn't even have time to scream before being cut in half by the hail of bullets that pierced through. Yes, cut in half. Her upper body flew away while her lower body remained in place. Monster. You're a monster. The only survivor, Magnet, was terrified out of his mind. He was now hiding behind the last massive boulder, trembling all over, his pants soaked through. His magnetic ability was as laughable and powerless against this absolute physical kinetic force as trying to stop a tsunami with one's hands. He could feel the fire whip cutting through the rock, getting closer and closer to him. Stop. Lin Yuan suddenly raised his hand. The terrifying tearing sound ceased abruptly. The entire dock fell into a deathly silence. Only the Sousa's barrel was still spinning idly, emitting a low humming sound as it dissipated heat, with wisps of blue smoke rising from the muzzle. The pile of spent shell casings on the floor had become a small hill radiating scorching heat. Magnet sat slumped on the ground, surrounded by the shredded remains of his comrades. He panted heavily, grateful to have escaped with his life. Don't misunderstand. Lin Yuan's voice rang out again. I stopped not to spare you. It's because bullets are quite expensive. Before Magnet could react, the 5 T-800 units behind Lin Yuan had already leaped down from the platform. This time, without the suppression of abilities, they moved like the wind. Moments later, Magnet was dragged before Lin Yuan like a dead dog. Lin Yuan sat on the sofa, not even bothering to stand. He looked at the man who had earlier boasted about crushing his exoskeleton, picked up his teacup, and gently blew on the floating leaves. I heard you like playing with metal. Lin Yuan gestured towards the still smoking CIWS behind him. Rate my metal. Is it hard enough? Magnet trembled violently, his face as pale as paper. He wanted to beg for mercy, but his throat felt blocked by a red-hot coal. No sound could escape. Mad Dog, Lin Yuan called out. Be boss him here. Mad Dog emerged from behind his reverence for Lin Yuan, now reaching a level of absolute worship. The scene of the butcher being executed by cannon moments ago would likely become the nightmare of his lifetime. Put the highest grade collar on him. He's a rare specimen. Lin Yuan looked at Magnet, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. Ability users are good things. Useless in a fight, but invaluable in industry. You can control metal, right? Perfect. I have some precision parts that machines can't handle. From now on, if you can't craft them, you don't eat. Magnet was stunned. Him a dignified Brank ability user being used as a lathe. Take him away. Throw him into the factory and lock him up with those T-800 units. After dealing with these reckless mercenaries, Lin Yuan stood up, walked to the edge of the platform, and caressed the cold armor of the warship. System absorbed the ability energy dissipated during the battle. Absorbing. Energy points gained. Gene fragment acquired. Basic magnetic manipulation can be used to strengthen the host or mechanical units. Lin Yuan smiled. This was the true gain. The assassins Zhao Heavy Industries had paid a fortune to hire had not only delivered their heads' energy, but also the urgently needed specialized industrial talent and a genetic skill. Liaoan. Lin Yuan looked towards the distant near side of the moon, his gaze seeming to pierce through the thick crust. Are your cards all played out? Now it's my turn to play. He turned and walked towards the ship's airlock. System activate the interstellar I have a big business deal to discuss. Since my strength is already exposed, there's no point in hiding anymore. I want to buy an engine. I want to make this Doom's vessel truly fly. Date October 26, 2100. Location Spark Base, T9 Underground Dock. 12 hours after the battle concluded. The nauseating stench of blood had been purged by the efficient air circulation system, replaced by a heavier scent of machine oil and ozone. Mad Dog led a group of slaves kneeling on the ground, scrubbing the bloodstains from the deck with brushes. They toiled diligently, not daring to even glance at the young man seated on the sofa nearby. If their previous sentiment towards Lin Yuan was on now, it was sheer unadulterated terror. The image of a Brank Esper being blasted into paste like a mosquito was seared into their very genes. In another corner of the dock, the once surrogate Magnet was enduring the greatest humiliation of his life. A deviation exceeding 0.01 millimeters means no dinner tonight. Lin Yuan's voice was flat, yet it lashed against Magnet's nerves like a whip. Magnet knelt before a simple workbench, a high-power neural dampening collar locked around his neck. His hands hovered in the air, manipulating a blob of liquid titanium alloy with his remaining faint magnetic power. He was handcrafting a complex turbine blade. I am an Esper. I am a noble. Magnet gritted his teeth, tears welling in his eyes. Zzz. The collar flashed red and a jolt of electricity surged through his body. Oh! Magnet screamed, the liquid metal in his hands nearly dispersing. Here you are not an Esper. You are a high-precision CNC machine tool that has no value if it doesn't work. Lin Yuan took a sip of tea without even raising his head. Using your ability for killing is a waste. Processing these high-precision engine components is putting it to its best use. Continue. Magnet was in despair. Staring at the metal, he had no choice but to swallow his humiliation and pain, continuing to labor like a slave. He knew this man was not joking. Having dealt with the troublemaker, Lin Yuan shifted his focus back to the holographic screen before him. Interstellar Trade Terminal had been connected for half an hour. After recovering spoils of war from the recent battle, including the energy dispersed by the shattered butcher and quicksand, plus system settlement rewards, his energy point reserves were back to 6,500. Meanwhile, his credit balance in the trade terminal had a surplus of 3,000 points from selling that batch of psychic potatoes. This amount isn't enough for a new ship, but it should be enough for a second-hand engine core. Lin Yuan typed keywords into the search bar: anti-gravity engine, nuclear fusion igniter. Countless product listings flashed onto the screen. For sale: proton collision engine, civilian version, 90 new. Price 5,000,000 credits. Can't afford it. For sale: void creature stomach, can be used as a bioengine, requires daily feeding of living humans. Price 2,000 credits. Too disgusting and can't afford it anyway. Lin Yuan scrolled through several pages, his frown deepening. Was inflation in the interstellar era this severe? Just as he was about to give up and make do with the engines from those mining vehicles, an inconspicuous listing caught him. For sale: scrapped Pegasus IV class cruiser, main engine core, fishing grade. Seller: Goblin Tech Salvage Yard, Realm Mechanical Wasteland. Description: dug out of a junk pile. Core components are mostly intact, but missing the ignition device and control chip. Whether it runs is a gamble. Recommended for buyers with advanced mechanical repair skills. Price 2,800 credits, need to sell quickly, takes up space. Pegasus IV type. Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. He had seen this model in the database of the T9 ruins. It was the same era of Federal main engine as the Calamity. Although it was a lower-grade cruiser configuration, it was more than enough to power the current Calamity, and the interfaces were compatible. This is the one. Lin Yuan decisively clicked purchase. Transaction confirmed. Deducting 2,800 credits. Constructing cross-dimensional transmission channel. Estimated arrival time 10 seconds. Please prepare to receive heavy object. Everyone move aside. Lin Yuan shouted. Boom. The space above the dock twisted, splitting open into a pitch-black rift. Then a colossal metal sphere over 5 meters in diameter, covered in grease and rust, crashed onto the open space of the dock with a deafening clang. The impact cratered the ground, sending dust flying. Mad Dog and the others cowered, thinking it was another attack. As the dust settled, Lin Yuan approached and scanned the massive scrap heap with analytical eye. Item: Pegasus IV engine, core severely worn. Status: reparable. Repair plan requires 2,000 energy points, assisted by high-precision metal shaping, magnetic ability recommended. Perfect. Lin Yuan patted the massive iron ball, then turned to look at Magnet, who was crying while shaping parts. Stop crying. I have a big job for you. Lin Yuan revealed a devilish smile. Refurbish this thing for me. If you can't fix it, it'll stuff you inside for fuel. While Lin Yuan was busy with his industrial renaissance, the surface world of the 7th mining zone was in an uproar. News of the Jackal Mercenary Corps' complete annihilation spread like wildfire through the underworld of the moon's far side. That was the Jackals, a top-tier mercenary corps with 3 espers, well-equipped and notorious across the lunar, and they vanished in a single night without even making a ripple right there in the legendary 7th mining zone. Did you hear? That newcomer Lin Yuan is a monster in human skin. Nonsense. I heard from a spy who escaped that it's an alien base. There aren't stone lions at the gate, but 2 naval cannons. Terrifying. Zhao Heavy Industries has finally kicked a titanium alloy plate this time. The various miner warlords and bandit gangs that had been eyeing the 7th mining zone were now utterly cowed. They drew a big red circle around it on their maps, labeling it Absolute Forbidden Zone. In fact, by the afternoon, the base's external monitors captured a bizarre scene. Several unfamiliar off-road vehicles drove up to the canyon entrance, not daring to enter. They unloaded crates of supplies, oxygen tanks, compressed food, even precious canned fruit, and then sped away like frightened rabbits. A note was taped to the crates for the grandfather of Spark Company, a small token of respect. Watching this, Lin Yuan felt no great pride. He knew that the fear of these small fry was only temporary. The true Leviathans were still watching him from the shadows. Alert! Suddenly the base's radar sounded again. Unlike the previous urgent alarms, this one was calm. Detected single-person vehicle approaching. Signal Identification Code Federal Government FIB Official Shuttle. Incoming communication request. Lin Yuan's eyes shifted as he looked at the sleek black and white shuttle on the screen. Here they come. The officials. Connect. The screen flickered and a middle-aged man in a gray trench coat with gold-rimmed glasses appeared. He looked refined, even scholarly like a university professor, but his eyes held the shrewdness to see through everything. Mr. Lin Yuan, greetings. The middle-aged man adjusted his glasses, revealing a professional smile. I am Special Agent Shen, one from the Federal Investigation Bureau FIB. I apologize for the intrusion. Oh, I mean no harm. I simply wish to talk with you about the fireworks display. Location Spark Base, first meeting room converted from a living module. Agent Shun, when sat on a metal chair surveying his surroundings. Though it was merely a shallow subterranean level with crude furnishings, he keenly noticed many details. The welding points on the walls exhibited astonishing industrial precision, clearly not the work of human hands. A faint, refreshing scent of plants lingered in the air. A luxury in a mining area thick with the smell of machine oil, and the guard named Mad Dog, standing by the door, held a rifle that had obviously undergone some high-tech modification he couldn't comprehend. Please have some water. Lin Yuan sat across from him, sliding a glass of plain boiled water over. The conditions are humble, no tea, I'm afraid. Please forgive me, Agent. Shinwen picked up the glass and took a sip. Purified water, and it's been filtered at the molecular level. He set the glass down, looking at Lin Yuan with a meaningful gaze. On the far side of the moon, this glass of water is worth more than blood. Mr. Lin's humble truly opens one's eyes. Let's speak frankly. Lin Yuan leaned back in his chair, showing no deference despite the other's status. A big shot from the Federal Bureau of Investigation travels thousands of miles to this scrap mining zone. It can't be just for a drink of water. Shunwen chuckled, pulled a holographic projector from his briefcase, and placed it on the table. An image flickered to life. A blurry recording of the Doom SCIWS mowing down the butcher that night, clearly captured by satellite. Li Allen of Zhao Heavy Industries has gone mad, Shunwen said calmly. She's been causing an uproar in the Federal Council, calling you a terrorist against humanity, demanding an orbital bombardment of this place by the regular army. Oh, Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow. Then why am I still sitting here chatting with you? Because the governor suppressed. Shunwen looked into Lin Yuan's eyes. Zhao Heavy Industries wants to monopolize what's here, but the Federation won't allow it. Mr. Lin, let's not beat around the bush. We've detected a signal from its series relic. That's a legacy belonging to all humanity. So you're here to confiscate my property on behalf of the Federation. Lin Yuan tapped his fingers lightly on the table. In the shadows outside the door, the red eyes of 2T-800S glowed faintly. No, don't misunderstand. Shinwen quickly waved his hands, sensing the lethal intent in that instant. In the past, perhaps. But now, Mr. Lin, you've proven your strength. The Federation is always lenient towards those with power. We want a partnership. Shinwen extended an olive branch. The Federation recognizes your autonomy over the 7th mining zone and can even shield you from Zhao Heavy Industries' military pressure. In return, we need shared access to the relic's technical data. Lin Yuan gave a cold laugh. Sharing technology meant showing his hand. Once the Federation mastered the tech, he, the partner, would be expendable. Technical data is off the table. Lin Yuan refused flatly. Shunwen's expression darkened. Mr. Lin, you must understand, Zhao Heavy Industries' fleet is already assembling. Without the Federation's protection, can you withstand them? Or an entire fleet? I have my own ways. Lin Yuan stood up. If there's nothing else, Agent, please see yourself out. Mad Dog. The negotiation had collapsed. Shinwen sighed, packed up his projector, and prepared to leave. He truly didn't want to clash with this tough nut, but he also couldn't return empty-handed. Just as Shunwen reached the door, Lin Yuan suddenly spoke. However, while I can't share the tech, I do have a business proposition for the Federation. Shinwen stopped. What proposition? Lin Yuan snapped his fingers. Mad Dog, catching on immediately, approached, as if carrying a family heirloom, holding an exquisite metal tray. The tray was covered with a red cloth. You wouldn't be able to digest the technology, but this. I believe the governor will find it very interesting. Lin Yuan lifted the cloth. On the tray lay 2 fist-sized potatoes, dirt still clinging to them. Potatoes? This is your business. He found it absurd. Don't jump to conclusions. Lin Yuan picked up one potato and tossed it to Shinwen. This isn't an ordinary potato. It's a T1 lunar improved variety. Not only does it taste excellent, but more importantly, it's rich in trace bioactive enzymes. Long-term consumption can slow down the osteoporosis and muscle atrophy caused by prolonged low-gravity environments. Shinwen's pupils contracted sharply. As a lunar resident, he knew all too well the horror of moon sickness. Osteoporosis and muscle atrophy were the nightmare of every moon dweller. Current medical treatments could only alleviate, not cure. If this potato truly had that effect, it wasn't food, it was a strategic asset, a medicine more precious than gold. How many do you have? Shinwen's voice trembled slightly as he clutched the potato. 1 mu now 10 mu, Lin Yuan smiled. I can grant the exclusive purchasing rights of this potato to the federal governor's mansion. As for the price, we can negotiate. I only ask that the Federation recognize Spark Corporation's legal status and lift Zhao Heavy Industries' blockade on my supplies. It was an offer too tempting to refuse. For Governor Chen Guobang, solving the moon sickness problem would elevate his political prestige to its peak, possibly even earning him a seat in the Earth Federation's core council. In comparison, the relic's technology seemed less urgent. Shen Wen took a long, hard look at Lin Yuan. He realized he had severely underestimated this young man. This was not just a warlord with military might, but a politician who knew how to seize an opponent's weakness. He'll take this potato back for analysis. Shen Wen placed the potato carefully into his briefcase. If it's genuine, Mr. Lin, I believe our partnership will be very pleasant. One more thing, Lin Yuan added. Tell Zhao Heavy Industries to stop their little games. If they send anyone else. Lin Yuan pointed at the ground beneath his feet. Next time I'll take my ship to New Shanghai and deliver them takeout. Shen Wen's heart skipped a beat. Take the ship. Could that legendary warship actually move? Filled with shock and clutching the two precious potatoes, Shen Wen hurriedly boarded the shuttle. Lin Yuan watched the departing ship, a cold smirk curling at the corner of his mouth. Potato diplomacy accomplished. With the Federation's umbrella, Zhao Heavy Industries wouldn't dare use large-scale weapons openly. This bought him the most precious time to develop. Boss. Just then Mad Dog ran up excitedly from the underground dock. That magnet guy says the engine core is refurbished.